We're back. Sorry about that, everybody. My apologies. Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing, everybody? Sorry about that. Colorado Mom. I think it's off now. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on there. It will not, for some reason, it's not saving that setting. It does not want me to do this. Hmm. I just turned it off again. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I am participating in CoinCot, but for some reason, I literally just reset it and I don't know what's going on. So I apologize. Anyway, like and share, everybody. Like and share. Like and share. We have a lot to cover tonight. Um, we have a lot to cover. Oh my gosh, I'm not even sure where to start. But again, please continue to like and share. Would really appreciate that. Drive this out to the FYP. Not accepting gifts. Truth wins, but you don't have to vote for Biden. Just don't vote for Trump. 3 judges. Yeah, that's what the circuit court was. 3 judges. Yeah. So I want to have a couple of conversations this evening. Well, I guess let's start at the news of the day. Obviously, we know that the DC Circuit has come down with their kind of scathing rebuke of the Trump immunity claim, which was destined to fail anyway. But I think the way in which the decision was written, it's almost bulletproof for appeal or to be overturned by the Supreme Court. So the question specifically then with the court is what will they do? So first of all, I mean, I read through this thing, it's only 50 pages or so. It's pretty easy read. There's a lot of legalese in it, but you can skip to the details, skip to the juice, as they say. Former President Trump's alleged efforts to remain in power. This is from page 39 near the bottom. Former President Trump's alleged efforts to remain in power despite losing the 2020 election were, if proven, an unprecedented assault on the structure of our government. He allegedly injected himself into a process in which the president has no role, the counting and certifying of the electoral college votes, thereby undermining constitutionally established procedures and the will of Congress. To immunize former President Trump's actions would further aggrandize the presidential office, already so potent and so relatively immune from judicial review, at the expense of Congress. It continues, therefore, we cannot accept former President Trump's claim that a president has unbounded authority to commit crimes that would neutralize the most fundamental check on executive power, the recognition and implementation of election results, nor can we sanction his apparent contention that the executive has carte blanche to violate the rights of individual citizens to vote and to have their votes counted. I think that about sums it up. Although there is another little element here that I did find interesting. Or was that? We'll be covering it for most of the night. Where was that? I think it's in 47. I made a note, but now I've lost my notes. Well, the entire language here, and I think what the circuit did. I'd love to talk to you about that, Lizzie B, if that's the case. I'd love to talk to you about it. So specifically, the way in which they wrote this was to clearly debunk. Hey, brother, how are you?
Doing
You
good.
good?
How?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good,
Little.
good. Hmm?
We're a little wet.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, shout out to Anthony here because he lives in LA and you guys are getting pounded out there. Are you guys safe and sound? for the most part.
Yeah, we've already had over a foot of rain in our neighborhood.
Damn, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, so
That is
think about
crazy.
that, right? So if there's a foot of rain here at
Mm.
our level, imagine what's happening in the mountains and the Sierra Nevadas above us. They are getting feet of snow.
Well, they always say like an inch of rain is a foot of snow, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm sure by the time the Sierras are done, they'll have a good 15, 20 inches of snow, feet of snow up
More.
there, right?
Oh yeah,
It,
easily,
it's
easily.
insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
That's well. Be safe, man. Be safe.
yeah,
We were
I
just
heard you were just reading the DC Circuit um, decision on immunity with Trump. Is that what you were just reading?
yeah, and I think there's some nuance here because if you think about what they did, because obviously I think the DC Circuit is aware of the Trump's team's desire to kind of kick the can down the road as far as they can.
Yeah.
So there's language in there about appeal. So they were very specific. They said that the stay will remain in. So the DC Circuit. This was a three-judge panel. There's what's referred to as an en banc appeal, which would then allow the defendant in this case to appeal to the entire DC Circuit. They've actually written language in here that addresses that specifically because they saw that as a delay tactic, meaning that if he
Yes.
decides to appeal the en banc appeal, then what they would do is they would lift the stay and the trial would continue during that process. They said
Right.
if you appeal to the Supreme Court, which they have to do by Monday, then the appeal or then the stay will remain in place. So, long story short, it'll take four judges on the Supreme Court to agree to hear the case. So it looks like the majority of people that I've seen today feel like the Supreme Court will not take this case
Right.
because of the fact that this decision. First of all, how anybody could determine that a president has immunity is ridiculous. Is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a busy week with SCOTUS because we have not only do we have this, but on Thursday we have the oral arguments in the 14th Amendment Section 3 case out of Colorado. So the oral arguments are that day. So there's a couple of things that are gonna be in play here. Obviously, the Supreme Court has the ability, and I know the Supreme Court by definition doesn't want to get involved in the election, but they have no choice. That's where we're at.
Yep.
They
Yep.
have no choice. Um, so so we'll see. So I want to talk to MAGA about that tonight. And also we've got to talk about the border. So you and I went back and forth a little bit today. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I'm happy that this bill is dead on arrival. Quite frankly, because the way if you read the language, it's everything the Republicans have want, and it's anti-human in my opinion. So some of the things that they'd asked for, they wanted to end the practice of catch and release. They wanted to raise the qualifications for asylum. They want to expedite the approval and/or denial process for asylum claims. They want to increase the number of border security agents and asylum officers. They want to expand the number of detention beds. They want to increase screening for fentanyl and other drugs. They want to have the ability for DHS and the president to close the border, which again, there are things that we can debate in here that may be good policy, but it doesn't address DACA. It doesn't
Yeah.
address path to citizenship. It doesn't address any of those things. So the way I look at this, MAGA, is this was your opportunity to have the most conservative legislation that we've ever seen passed in regards to the border. This was your window. See, all these things that were in here are things that MAGA has been talking about, wanting to get done, all of it. And a bipartisan group of senators, Republicans and Democrat. By the way, James Lankford, one of the most, he's kind of got a Skeletor vibe going on, but that's a whole different story. Um, he's one of the most conservative, he's a non-MAGA, but one of the more conservative members of the Senate has negotiated this. And,
Yeah.
I know I've heard MAGA today pushing back because there's Ukraine spending. We've been funding Ukraine for over a decade, okay?
Yes. Yes.
And, would I be willing to sacrifice funding for the Netanyahu regime in Israel? Yes, I would. I would say, sure, we could stop funding Netanyahu because I don't think he's approaching this the right way. So there's money for Israel in there as well. But there's also aid for Palestine. There's also humanitarian aid for Gaza. There's all these things that are in it, but this is government. This is government, folks. If anybody thinks you're going to get a single issue bill, that's just not how government works. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not how government works. So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I'm not disappointed that this bill didn't pass or is not going to pass. But it's the hypocrisy to me. What are your thoughts, brother?
So since Ronald Reagan's failed attempt at clemency around immigrants, right? What MAGA keeps forgetting, because I've been listening to them refer to that all day. The one party that actually screwed up the entire thing, meaning removed the enforcement mechanisms, was the GOP.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all Reagan's fault, right? He literally pushed this legislation at the last minute in order to get his own party to sign. They had to remove the mechanisms for having a stronger border, for having more requirements, right? Okay, so all that went away. Clinton tried to do something. And once again, who was it that came in and stripped away the ability to hold corporate America responsible for recruiting individuals to come as migrant workers, for not doing I-9 checks of migrant workers, which is, by the way, why we now have I-9 checks for migrant workers, right? All of these things. It was the GOP.
Mm-hmm.
President Trump had 4 years in office to pass something. What did he do? He took discretionary funding away from the Department of Defense. That discretionary funding was meant to help veterans, veterans' families, set up mental health clinics. Don't forget, he took money away from veterans. So every time I hear these people talking about how you're the party for veterans, go fuck yourselves on behalf of myself and my fellow brothers and sisters who actually had the balls to raise our hand and serve. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't, so I don't want to hear it. Now,
Real quick, Anthony. Real quick, Anthony and I are participating in Boycott. You and I talked earlier. I was going to bring it up, but I keep having an
yeah,
issue with the settings. I've tried to reset it 3 times. For some reason, it's not saving. I apologize, friends. If I could ask you just to not give this evening, we'll leave it at that.
yeah, please don't. Not now. Now here's the thing, right? The Republicans have been pounding their fists, crying like little babies about this supposed border crisis. I keep seeing people sending videos from Eagle Rock. I'm not seeing this mass of people, right? They finally, in the Senate, set up this bipartisan committee specifically because of the fact that the Senate is a deliberate body, right? So the Senate many times will
That's an
get
understatement.
together, right? The Senate will get together when the House side of Congress can't pull their heads out of their asses. So they did, and I'm sure they entered into what would be referred to as good faith. But if you actually read the text of the draft of what was released, there is actually nothing in there that was going to help immigration. There was nothing in there that was going to help Border Patrol. There was nothing in there that was going to help the court system. There was nothing in there that was going to give money to states like, say, Texas, that claims they need all this extra money. There was some weird clause I was reading about stripping the power from the governor of Texas so that he couldn't use the National Guard. I can't remember how that was phrased. My point here is, allow me to land the plane. For the last 40 years, the GOP has been crying, complaining, scaring people about this crisis. For 40 years, they have had their hand on the till. They have had the power levers to do something. 40 years later, here we are, the party that wanted all of this stuff done. Bitched, pissed, and moaned and complained, Sleepy Joe this, Dementia Joe that, right? What's the one party that now once again is killing this bill? It's the GOP. And why? Because that orange turd above your head asked them to.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, again, It's the hypocrisy, and I think you and I would agree that it's just not a good bill. At the end of the day, I mean, it hurts immigrants. It doesn't fix the problem.
Yes.
It doesn't fix the problem. It's not a good bill. It's just not. And I think anybody on the left that says it is, I think, is being disingenuous. It's not a good bill. But the irony is, like everything you just said about the crisis and all these kinds of
Yeah.
things, in an attempt to try to fix it, literally negotiated by Republicans to create a scenario where we've got bipartisan agreement, and the paint wasn't even dry, and they're already trying to sink it.
Yeah.
It's that level of hypocrisy. So let's talk about it tonight, folks. Friends, I do want to have a conversation with people specifically as in regards to the immunity component. So let's just jump on it. Trying to connect, change a life. Change a life. You're welcome to request to come back. Please do. We'll get you.
By the way, the talk has been super glitchy with pulling people up today. Everybody's having a problem, so I don't know if it's one of those weird update things, right?
Could be. It could be. I might have to reset. For some reason, my settings aren't saved either. Very detailed. Good evening. How are you? Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I got a question. When are you guys going to wake up?
How are we sleeping?
Okay. What happened in 2020?
What happened in 2020?
You tell me. You guys know so much. What happened in 2020?
Be specific. What happened in 2020?
It starts with a B.
What happened in 2020?
BLM riots.
Okay, what about them?
Okay, who started the BLM riots?
What do you mean? Who started them?
Who started them? The Democrats started them.
Oh, the Democrats started them.
Yeah.
Okay. So you stand with Trump, I'm assuming.
Trump tried to stop it.
In 2020?
He sure did. Remember, he tried calling.
What did he do?
So
I'm just asking you. Do you stand with Trump?
Better than Democrats.
Okay. Do you stand with Trump specifically?
100.
Okay. So you're okay. You think a president should have immunity?
I think so.
Okay. So then you're okay with Joe Biden committing crimes while he was in the White House?
What has Joe Biden done?
I'm just asking you. Can you follow try to follow along here? I know it's hard. Try to follow along.
I'm listening.
So you just said you're okay with the president having immunity. So if that's the case, then you must be okay with Joe Biden committing crimes while in the White House.
You guys were the ones burning buildings down in 2020 and police stations.
Answer my question. One thing at a time.
Burning police stations down.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Hold on a second. If you'd like to have a conversation, I'll have a conversation with you, but you got to answer questions, okay? I'm asking you specifically, do you want a president to have immunity? Yes or no? You can unmute. So can you try to answer that question for me?
What's Trump done?
I'm asking you a question. Do you want the president to have immunity? Yes or no?
Sure.
Okay, so then if you want a president to have immunity, then you must be okay with Joe Biden committing crimes if he's in the White House, right?
Joe Biden, he's a protected party.
Can you answer the question? You don't want to have a conversation, do you?
You guys are a protected party, though.
Okay,
That's
again,
100%.
can you answer the question? Yes or no? Do you want a president to have immunity? Yes or no?
It protects them for something he didn't do.
Okay, so then why bother trying to impeach Joe Biden if you want a president to have immunity?
Way more on Biden than Trump.
You don't get it, do you? You don't understand here.
Trump.
Okay? Let me ask you another question. What did you have for dinner?
I haven't ate yet.
Good. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, I was busy typing in the background.
So good. Really? T-Man, how are you? T-Man, how are you? T-Man? T-Man 56. T-Man 56. Hello? Going once. Going twice. Gone. Thank you, T-Man. Thanks for playing. You have a good night. They're out in force. Slice of Pittsburgh. How are you tonight? Hello? Slice of Pittsburgh. Slice of Pittsburgh. Here, slice of Pittsburgh there. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not going to have you talk to us because you haven't connected. So see you later there, slice of Pittsburgh. Thanks for playing. Appreciate you. It's going to be a night, Francis. You're right. Devangelo, how
How
are
you
you
doing,
tonight?
brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. No, man, I'm with you, man. I'm just only thing I found hilarious about the whole situation is the E. Jean Carroll thing.
What
You
about
know,
it?
I think it's hilarious that Trump supporters would be upset with a woman who's been sexually assaulted. I mean, why would you be mad at her?
Well, because they don't
You
believe in
know,
any they only believe what comes out of the mouth of Trump, Devangelo. That's the problem. And let's use essay,
right?
okay? If you don't mind.
I mean, I'm sorry, sir. Say it again.
Yeah, let's just use essay.
Okay, all right, you're right. And so that's basically it. I mean, because everything else is already just blatantly obvious. I just find it just really crazy that you can sit back there and be upset with the victim, be upset at the victim. I mean, and this guy, he's defaming her, and and they're still upset with her. I
Oh, I
mean,
know.
as a woman, as women, period, as women, the women's Trump supporters alone. I mean, how can they look at themselves in the mirror and have daughters and have mothers and still be upset at a woman for being essayed? I
Because
don't
they
get that.
don't believe well, they don't believe anything other than what comes out of the mouth of Trump. They really don't care. That's why they're in a cult. That's why.
Right. That's my point. I just want to
Yeah.
establish that. I mean, I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to interrupt the cast. You're doing a good job, sir. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it. I'm watching you. Keep it up the good work. All right.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you very much. Have a good night. Be well. Thank you.
All right.
I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, I don't think the previous caller was sort of aware of the circumstance. I mean, genuinely, do you really want a president to have immunity? Let's think about how our country was founded, right? Let's talk about that. We were founded because we didn't want to be ruled by a monarch. We wanted a self-governing body. We the people, government of, by, and for the people. We don't want the president to have king-like powers. In fact, the executive in our system by design doesn't have as much power as the legislative branch. Yes, they got the power of the veto, but they don't pass laws and they don't rule on legality. Primarily, they're there to be the representative of our nation from a foreign policy perspective. I mean, that's really their role, right? That's really their role. So for anybody to think that the president should have power, that power, so MAGA, you shouldn't be disappointed, especially since you've always talked about, a small government. You don't want government control. You don't want intervention. So if that's the case, then there's no way you could support a president having immunity, right? There's just no way. There's just no way. Okay, the reverse PJ. I'm going to send you an invite. You don't have enough followers, of course. That's too bad. It blows me away that people still have not really made that connection. That we don't
Yeah.
want a president to have power. Anev, how are you
Aneve.
tonight?
It's Aneve. You got it.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
Doing very well. Thank you for asking.
I think I
What's on
just
your
find
What's on your
it,
mind?
you know, regardless of whether you're affiliated with one party or another, I think I just find it hard to believe that after everything that there's proof that anyone could still support Trump. I mean, he used to be a Democrat. I mean,
You did?
and then a liberal, and then, friends with Jeffrey Epstein, but they say, Sleepy Joe, well, is a pedophile. And I'm like, okay, well, we have pictures of Trump with
Well, let's
Jeffrey
just say
Epstein.
P3DO if you don't mind, please. Thank you very much.
So I guess I don't understand how, especially as a woman, I don't understand how any woman could support someone like Donald Trump. I mean, back when he owned the Miss USA and Miss Universe pageant, they literally had to get the off-duty police officers working the pageant to block the doors into the dressing room because he would just open the door and walk in on the girls nude changing clothes. That's on fact, on record. How
Oh
any
yeah.
woman could support this man should turn in her V card and be a trans and get different body parts. I
Oh,
don't get it.
I'm sorry, Annie. Let's not say things like that. I'm sorry.
Well,
That's just
I just
sorry. No, that's just not acceptable. Not acceptable.
Wow.
You got to do better there, Anif. You got to do better. Okay, much better. Wow. Wow.
I did not see that coming.
Me neither. So I want to just level set because we haven't talked about this in a little while. So this decision today was based on the Trump team's appeal to Jack Smith's January 6th trial that was initially or indictment that was initially supposed to go March 6th of this year or March 4th. So that case and those charges are count one, 18 U.S. Code 371, conspiracy to defraud the United States. Quite frankly, I don't even know why I would have to go any further than that. Conspiracy to defraud the United States as a former president. Count two, 18 U.S. Code 1512K, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. Count three, 18 U.S. Code 1512C, obstruction of and an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. And count four, 18 U.S. Code 241, conspiracy against rights. Those are the charges. And so initially the immunity, if it was granted, all but the state charges would go away. So this case and the Mar-a-Lago documents case would go away. Now they're on track. And the way that this is going to go down is if the Supreme Court, because again, I think the overwhelming sort of, I guess, thoughts and opinions by legal experts, not me, legal experts from what I've been hearing today and reading about, are that they very unlikely that the court will take this. But it does only take 4 members of the Supreme Court to decide as to whether or not they want to hear a case. It can't go to the DC court en banc. It can't DC appellate. It can't go to the DC appellate because if it did, then the trial starts back up again. So theoretically, they could make a decision on this by next week. So the Supreme Court's got 2 big decisions coming within the next week. They've got the oral arguments for the Colorado case on Thursday, and then the Trump team has to file their appeal by the end of business on Monday. That's where we're at. So that's where we're at. And again, the Supreme Court does not want to be involved in elections, but they are. They are involved in elections.
Yeah.
They are. They're inserted in the middle of elections. Nicole, how are you today? Nicole? Nicole going once. Nicole going twice. Thank you, Nicole. You have a good night.
It also would be really cool if a lawyer does come up to talk about the Blockburger test, because that to me was the most interesting part of this whole thing. So page 55.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good call. And I saw that earlier and I was trying to understand it.
Yeah, first of all, it sounds made up.
It does. It has to do with double jeopardy and all those kinds of various nuances.
Yeah.
So one of the claims that the Trump team had made was around the fact that he was impeached in the House and then acquitted in the Senate. So their argument was because he's been tried already, that it would be double jeopardy. So double jeopardy in our court systems means that you can't be tried for the same crime twice. But because impeachment is a political exercise and not a legal exercise, it doesn't apply.
That's right. And also, whoever wrote this for Trump, whoever wrote this stuff, really should just be disbarred on the fact that is one of the. First of all, on its face, that argument is already moot because it's not an argument.
You're right.
Like he says, he has the best words, the bigliest words, the bigliest crowds, the best lawyers. But I'm sorry, this is not the best lawyering anyone has seen, right? And there were other people earlier today talking about how, well, Nixon. And I'm like, every lawyer I've talked to said that this is the very first case of its type to have ever shown up. So this is a brand new ruling, and that there's no thread between what happened with Nixon and what's happening with Trump. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Nixon got pardoned and didn't have to go to trial, right? But I don't think anyone's going to pardon Trump.
Yeah, you're right. You'll recall coming off of the impeachment hearing when Mitch McConnell had come out and said, "Well, we've got the legal system that can address this. So even
Yes.
members of Congress knew that there was no immunity in this case. So it's just moot.
Yeah.
And again, Matt, the question then is, because you've claimed that he's innocent, you've claimed that he's done nothing wrong. So if that's the case, why does he keep wanting to push this off? Why is he still wanting to appeal everything? Yes, he has that right under our legal system. Everyone does. But if he's innocent, wouldn't you want to go to trial? We could look at the E. Jean Carroll case. If he was innocent and didn't do it, he was asked to produce DNA. He refused. Again, it's his right, but that's an opportunity to clear yourself. Mar-a-Lago, why would you appeal all this? Why would you call the entire system rigged against you? Why not just stand up and say, let's go to trial tomorrow. I'm ready to go because I'm innocent. If I was an innocent man charged, I'd want to go to trial immediately. Like immediately. But apparently that's not how they think. But we'll see. Oh, we'll try Slice of. Oh no, did Slice of Pittsburgh come on? We'll try Slice of Pittsburgh again. Slice of Pittsburgh requested earlier.
Isn't that home of the Italian beef sandwich?
Yeah, Permentis. Slice of Pittsburgh, how are you tonight? Hello, Slice of Pittsburgh. Okay, apparently not. I guess Slice of Pittsburgh gets nervous, stage fright.
I wanted to talk
Total
about
stage.
the sandwich.
Me too there. Hey, Jen, how are you tonight?
Hey, I'm good.
Jen?
How are you? How are you guys
Very well,
doing?
thank you.
On
We're
this
doing
fine,
good. Thanks for asking.
fine non-immunity day. I just have a question,
Sure.
and I thought you could help make me understand. I understand that Trump is not allowed on 2 state ballots. Is that correct?
Not yet. TBD. So on Thursday, the Supreme Court will be hearing the oral arguments in the Colorado case to start to make that determination.
And what was the other state?
Maine.
Okay, so if they find that he cannot be on those ballots, would he have any chance of winning the election?
Those states wouldn't apply necessarily because Colorado votes blue and Maine they split their electorate. They split their votes up there. But the way that it would work is that the Supreme Court. So let's level set. Not every state will remove him from the ballot. What the Supreme Court will say is that based on the 14th Amendment, Section 3, that constitutionally he can be removed from the ballot. So certain states will. To answer your question, though, all it would take would be states like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, any of those states, because those are all swing states that are always swing states in elections. If any of those states remove them from the ballot, then it's game over.
So basically, these cases set the precedence for other states to do the same.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Cool.
Have a good night.
All right.
Thank you.
Also, what would be interesting, and I never looked this up, so maybe I'll look it up. I think most states have a write-in ability for federal elections. So even if he wasn't on the ballot, if people wrote him in, he's going to get X amount of votes. Unless I guess
No.
it's possible.
No, actually, he's disqualified. Even if people wrote him in, those votes wouldn't count. He'd be disqualified, even as a write-in. Being disqualified from the ballot means you're disqualified, meaning you can't accept votes.
Oh, in those particular states. But what I'm saying is for the other states, right?
Right, but the other states wouldn't necessarily remove him, so he'd be on the ballot.
Well, that's what I'm saying. My fear is that it may drive independents who wouldn't necessarily vote for him. Like, I think this is a double-edged sword, and we need to be very careful about what we're doing here, right?
Well, think of it this way, though. So again, if he's removed from the ballot, so let's use the swing states. Let's use Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, for example. If those states remove him from the ballot, then he's got no path to the presidency through the Electoral College. Because if those states remove him from the ballot, then write-ins don't count. Because if you're removed from the ballot, then you're not a candidate. Therefore, you can't be written in. So any votes for you as a write-in candidate don't count.
Yeah, that's the part that's not clear to me, though, right? Because a political
I checked it out.
party.
I
you
checked
did?
it out, though. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So then the electors for the GOP couldn't nominate him at the convention.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah,
That's an interesting loophole.
Well, that's the nuance to the law. That's why they have to take this case, right? That's why they have to make this decision. They can't punt on this. So
Although they're going to have to punt on one of these. Which one's it going to be? I have a funny feeling it's going to be the immunity that they'll punt on.
well, yeah, I mean, I think they won't hear it.
That's
They,
right. That's the easier decision, and then I think the Supreme Court says you can't take them off the ballot.
yeah, and I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. I don't think it will be unanimous though, because again, if you think about, so the people on the court currently, the Roberts Court, as they call it, they always
Yeah.
refer to the Chief Justice of the Roberts Court. They
Right.
all consider themselves textualists, meaning the text of the Constitution. The text of the Constitution is pretty clear. If you engage in insurrection, you're disqualified. If you're not 35, you're disqualified. If you're not a natural born
Right.
citizen, you're disqualified. And another interesting nuance of this ruling today is that they address that because they talk about how the president is responsible to take care as an officer of the country to take care of the Constitution. So that's the claim
Right.
that the Trump team is making, that he should not be disqualified because he's not an officer of the United States. They address that in this ruling, which I think is fascinating that they put that little nugget in there, right? To say,
Right, which
well,
is the opposite of what they just did in this DC Circuit case.
no, they did that in the DC Circuit. That's my point. They referenced that as the president is responsible to take care of the Constitution as an officer
Right.
of the United
Right.
States. So the Supreme Court, if the argument then from the Trump team is that he's not an officer, well, the DC court says otherwise.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Isn't that what just happened? They basically said, like,
He's an
no,
officer.
you are
An
you are
officer.
the steward of the Constitution. Like,
That's exactly right. That's
Right.
exactly right.
right?
Again, you swear the oath to preserve, protect, and defend.
Yeah. I don't
Good evening,
understand why
sir.
this
I
thing
don't.
isn't.
Do
Oh,
you have a username, sir?
The only thing I wanted to say was, you don't think any of this is going back on the fact that Biden said he was going to do whatever he could to stop Trump from running?
Biden never said that.
He did, though. He
No, he
said
didn't.
he was going to do whatever he could legally to stop Trump from running in a press conference.
no, he didn't.
No, he
Yes,
didn't. He
he
never
did.
said that.
Yes,
No,
he
he
did.
didn't.
Yes,
Okay,
he
so
did.
we no. So
He said
you
we're
have
going
that.
to do
Hold
everything
on.
in our
Wait.
power
Hold
to
on.
stop
Hold
him
on.
from winning election.
Hold,
That's
yeah,
what he said.
winning an election, sure, by beating him with the ballot
You don't.
box, but he never said that.
Yes, he did.
No,
That's
sir.
exactly what he
So
said.
you no. Hold on.
This
Hold
is
on.
why I don't trust
Slow down,
Democrats,
slow
because
down,
all they
bro.
do is lie.
Slow down. So you are the one that made that claim. So where's your evidence of that?
How about you go look it up? It's all over the internet. He straight
No,
up
but
said he's going to do
you're
whatever
the
he
one
could
that
to
you're the
stop
one that
him
made
from
the
bringing
claim.
Trump into the ballots.
Okay,
And
tell you
now
what.
all
Why
of a
don't
sudden
you
all this stuff
grab?
is happening.
Hold on, bro. Listen. Take a deep breath. Okay, deep breath. All right. We'll have a conversation. You don't need to get up in your feelings. I'm going to ask you a simple question. Okay. You made that claim. So I would like you to tell us in front of 1,000 people where you got that, and then we can all listen to it together. So where did you find that video?
The news when they had a press conference when he said we're just going to have to make sure he doesn't take power. That's exactly what he said. I mean, I don't
No.
understand.
What again, man? Okay. So you're asking me to take your word for it.
No, I'm saying you can look it up. It's
No, I'm asking
public
you to do it.
information.
I'm asking you to do it. You're the one that made the claim.
Well, I'm not making a claim. I'm just repeating what he said.
No, you're making the claim that Joe Biden said
No,
that.
I'm repeating a quote that he said on a
No.
news conference that you can look up on YouTube.
No, you on YouTube. You're the one who
You
made
can
the
look it up
claim, sir.
anywhere. I just mentioned YouTube because that was the easiest place to mention.
Okay, then go for it. Grab it on YouTube, and then you can play it for us. Okay. Okay. You cool with that?
You can't do that while I'm on my phone doing it.
Okay. Well, then, do you have a computer nearby?
Not really. No, I'm actually sitting in my truck. So
Oh,
I'm
sorry
just,
about
I
that.
seen the live
Well-
and I was like, well, you guys are all saying all this stuff, but
Well-
Biden straight up said that he was going to do whatever he could
Okay,
to
so
stop Trump from winning
I
power.
saw a YouTube video that said Dot username on TikTok stole 25 horses from a corral down the street. I saw that video on YouTube.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't be wrong if fucking there was proof of it.
Oh, exactly.
If there was video of it
That's
happening,
exactly
if there was
right.
video of it happening, okay, if there was video of it happening, you can't deny it. Which means that when Biden said that he was going to do whatever he could to stop Trump from running, it was on news. It was on live TV when he said it. Why should I?
But listen
You
to what
guys,
you're saying, man.
this
Listen,
is what's
listen to
wrong with
hold on.
America is the
Bro,
Democrats
just
listening to dumb shit.
take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Listen to what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay?
I am.
Yours
I know what I'm
hold
saying.
on. Stop talking for 1 second, okay?
Why? Because
Beating
you
him
don't
at
like getting yelled over like you guys do when people prove points? That's exactly what you do. You mute people because they're proving points and you don't want to hear it.
beating somebody at the ballot box is exactly what we're talking about here. So
Yeah,
you're
and he's
saying,
doing it illegally or trying to, but Trump's still winning.
but you have no proof of that.
Look it up. It's on the news. It was on the news. How the hell?
It
Why
doesn't-
would I look it up
it
if I
doesn't-
see it on the
it
news?
does- Because it doesn't
If
work
you
that
guys
way,
trust the
man.
news so much, then why is it a problem when I use that as a source?
What I find really
It's
interesting,
not my
friends, that you
fault. You
don't.
guys are cheap and you listen to
Anthony,
everything you say.
Okay, Anthony, go ahead.
Hi, no name, or dot, I guess you have a dot. So, because I'm pretty fast at this, I actually have the evidence in front of me that you're referring to.
want the big screen,
And so
or are you good?
I'm going to, well, it's on my monitor. It's
Okay,
not on my
okay,
phone. So I'm going to give you a choice, a gentleman's choice, right? You can either pause your phone and Fax and I will talk while you specifically tell me the source, or I could read out loud the article from the AP that I assume you're referencing, this time frame and the comments that he made. But I need you to understand that if I read this to you, you have to take the L. I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to call you names. I'm just simply going to quote from the transcript because you are missing a tremendous amount of context. And I think that's probably where you got it wrong. So you can pause and tell me what to look up and I'll check it really quick because that's my job here. Or you can let me read to you in a gentleman's agreement what it is. Then you could admit that you're wrong, take your lumps and move on. I leave that up to you and I'm not going to yell at you or talk over you or insult you because I like sharing factual information.
So your choice, sir. What would you like?
Well, like I said, that's what he said. I'm telling you what he said, and that, I mean,
Okay,
it's
so
whatever.
okay, so the choice that Anthony just gave you, he's going to read the transcript to you, and then are you willing to take the L like a man, or are you just gonna cry about it?
Let's see what he says. Let's hear it.
Okay, go for it, Anthony.
Okay, we have to keep the White House, he said. We must keep the Senate, win back the House. Accomplish that, he said, and we can save American democracy. He was equally blunt in taking up record at his subsequent rally, where he implored voters, imagine the nightmare of Donald Trump. Further along in the speech, he talks.
Verbatim, you're skipping over pieces. Read the whole transcript and let's see what he says.
Well, hold on a second here. Hang on, Anthony. So we're doing the work for you, friend. So you can't sit here and tell us what to do. We're doing the work for you because you're unwilling. You're unwilling to find video.
Towards your narrative and not what he actually said.
No, you're unwilling to share your video. That's the whole point. I don't know. Why don't you do this? Why don't you go find it?
News.
What? What?
Video that was on the news.
Because that's what the burden of proof is. Because you're asking us just to believe you. That's what the burden of proof is, sir. That's what the burden of proof means. You made that claim. If you've got the evidence to prove that, then show it. That's all we're asking. That's what the burden of proof is. That's what that means. Otherwise, you're just saying, I'm just supposed to trust you that he said that, and I don't. So it's up to you, man. You've got to prove it. Because I don't think you're being honest, and I think, unfortunately, look. So do you believe? So here's another question for you. Here's another question for you. So do you believe that Donald Trump won the 2020 election? Dot.
I don't know. It's hard to say, but I do know that he didn't cause an insurrection when he said protest peacefully in his speech when he brought it up.
Okay, but you forgot about what else did he say though? What else did he say that day? Did he say fight like hell?
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't
Okay,
that what
okay.
Biden just said about fight like hell to keep Trump out of the White House? I mean,
Do you think you could? How about we stop deflecting for just a second? Okay, let's stay on one thing at a time. All right, let's talk about that. So on January 6th, why were the people in D.C. that day? Why were they there?
because everybody thought that Trump had won, and they Didn't
Okay,
count.
okay. No, but why specifically were they there? Do you have a name so I don't have to call you Dot? Do you have a name? Do you have a name, or should I just call you Dot? Are you going to engage in conversation, friend, or no?
This damn app isn't working.
Okay. Okay, well, stop muting. Okay? So, do you have a name, or should I just call you Dot? Tom. Okay, Tom. So, why were people there? Why were people in D.C. on January 6th? Why were they there? Tom. Okay. I don't think he wants to play. Good night, Tom.
Yeah. So what this is coming from is all of these quotes are coming from articles from February 4th and February 5th, when Biden was out in Nevada. Here's one of the quotes: Trump and his MAGA friends are dividing us, not uniting us, dragging us back to the past, not leading us in the future, refusing to accept the results of a general election, and seeking, as Trump says, to terminate, his words, terminate elements of the U.S. Constitution. You tell me that democracy is not at risk, Biden said to a raucous crowd, according to Pool reports. I could keep reading the stuff over and over and over
Doesn't
again because
matter.
they've been bringing that stuff up, right?
I know.
When they have no facts, they pivot and deflect. Again, Iceman George Gervin wasn't good at pivoting the way these guys are good at pivoting, and the Iceman was a pivot fucking king down on the block. For those of us old enough to remember.
Mr.
George.
Jones, I just want to address something. I've been trying all night. I'm having some issues. It keeps resetting, and I've been really trying to turn gifts off. We've been announcing it all evening. I appreciate that, but I can't. I'd have to stop the live. I've done it twice now, and it's frustrating me. We've been announcing it, so we still support CoinCot. CoinCot, everyone, please don't gift. Please don't gift. Yeah. So again, the idea. So I just want to remind people that there's this little thing called a burden of proof. All right. The idea behind burden of proof means if you make a claim, the responsibility on the claimant is to back that up with evidence. Otherwise, you're just asking us to take your word for it. That's how it works. Breaking news. House votes to impeach DHA Secretary Mayorkas. 215 to 212. The irony behind that is that Mayorkas has been working with Republicans and Democrats in the Senate to pass border legislation, and he gets impeached for it. So there you go. That's where we are.
Did he get impeached, or are they doing votes?
Impeachment. House votes on impeachment. Yep.
Right, but
he's got to go to the Senate. Not going to be a trial.
Updated 4 minutes ago. Oh, did they actually get enough votes today? Because they were short votes.
215. They lost 4. So 215 yay, 212 nay.
Jesus Christ. First of all, the irony of this whole thing is that he's in charge of Homeland Security. He isn't individually responsible for the carrying out of ineffective laws that they needed to update or take care of. 216 to 214?
Yes.
Holy shit.
I'm seeing 215 to 212. 3 nay, 1 no vote from Republicans. So 215 yay, 1 no vote. So so all the Democrats voted to. Obviously, they would have anyway. They could not lose more than 3. Yeah. Hold on. I'm confused now. So it says. I don't know. I'll get back to it. Trying to bring you up.
Yeah, this is a tricky story because it's like I'm seeing different numbers across different sources.
So 3 Republicans voted no. So then it didn't. So then he did not.
He did not get.
So then 250. Good evening, Nick. How are you? Hi, Nick. Nick. So it looks like they failed to impeach. Even better. Good evening, Nick. How are you? Nick. Nick. Are you there, Nick?
Sounds like he's in a car also.
It does, yep. So
can somebody give me an actual...
I'm working on it. Hold on.
I'm trying to find the actual...
House votes on impeaching Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. Let's see. Let's see what it says here. It doesn't give me specifics.
Because it says that voting, like the vote's going on right now, right?
Yeah. Yes. Senior GOP leaders are worried about 11th hour absences and defections cropping up could turn this into a nail biter instead of an easy win. Congress is a total failure. We know that. Don't get too excited about Trump's immunity law. Blah 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 blah. It doesn't. It looks like it's still being voted on.
Okay,
House vote.
that's why the numbers kept moving. I was
Well,
like,
I mean,
what the hell's going on?
once you have 212, then you have 212. So it's just weird.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, back at it here. So we'll
Okay.
get an answer on that. We'll get an answer on that. I'm sure it's still a moving target.
Yeah. I got it up. I'm following.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, Star, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Can you give me like 5 seconds so I can go outside because I have family members, and they like Trump. So I gotta go outside so I
Okay.
don't aggravate them
Okay. That's
and
fine.
have a whole household debate again. So
That's
give
fine.
me 2 seconds. Not putting you on mute, but give me 2 seconds.
We got you. So it looks like he failed. It does look like it failed now. They lost
216 to 14 against impeachment.
against impeachment. So
Yep.
here we are once again. The Republican Party in the House, incapable of doing anything. They hold the majority. You'll notice that there were crossover Republicans. All the Democrats remained united again, and the Republican Party failed once again. So there you go. House Republicans failed to impeach the H6 Secretary of America. And again, why impeach? So, hey, Star, how are you? Star, are you ready? Star. It's chaos tonight. Star, are you there? Star.
I think she muted. I think she's trying to get outside or find a quiet place in the house, is what I heard.
Yeah, I think so too.
This has got to be embarrassing. Like, have they even named a post office lately?
Seriously, I know. My God, it's crazy. Hey, Star, are you there? Because I can drop you down and bring you back up if you're not ready. So let's do that. We'll keep it moving. Star, please request again, okay? Love to talk to you. Just please request again. Oh, boy. Thank you, friends. We are participating in a coin cop. Please no gifting. Truth Teller, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just had a question that's been kind of running through my head all day.
Okay.
And I just want to see what someone like you would think about this. Do you feel that the continuous impeachment tries by Mayorkas, Biden, and just the thing today with Gates, with him trying to get Congress to say that Trump wasn't an insurrectionist, do you feel that's hurting Trump's chances in the future? Like they're tearing down his chances of being president?
I think what it shows is that the Republican Party are feckless cowards. You got to mute, bro. I can barely hear you. Hold on. All right, are you driving? Truth Teller?
Sounds like
driving?
it.
Yeah, I was
You're
driving.
driving. Yeah, sorry, man. That's all right. Got to boot you. When you stop driving, you can come back up. Yeah, to answer your question, I think the Republican Party are feckless cowards, and they do Donald Trump's bidding. And I think it's working against them. No Name, how are you tonight? No Name.
No name. Yeah. How you doing?
Good. How are you? What's on your mind?
Okay. Yeah. I have to say, first of all, I'm English, so I'm not American.
Okay.
But I strongly believe in Trump. I think he may well actually save us from World War III if he gets in there.
Why do you say that?
Well, because the Democrats are seem to
No,
be,
let's not deflect. Talk about Trump. I want you to tell me why you support
because I
Trump
think
without deflecting. Okay, without
because
deflecting.
I think he could reason and come to a solution, an amicable solution over the situation in the Donbass.
Okay, so what would that look like? Talk to me about that. What would that
Well, a
look like?
referendum for one thing, and
What referendum?
well, self-determination for the people that live there. Basically,
Hold on.
yeah.
they didn't go along with the coup d'état.
Okay. No name. Let's back up for 1 second, man. Okay, let's back up for 1 second. Okay, I'm asking you why you support Trump. I don't want rhetoric. I'm just asking specifically why you support Trump.
Well, as I said to you, I think that he would be willing to negotiate.
But what does
with
that look
Putin.
like? What does willing to negotiate look like? Be specific, because all you're speaking in rhetoric. That's all you're doing. Be specific.
Really?
What would it take? What would that negotiation look like? Who would he sit down with? Who would be involved in that negotiation? Let's try to be serious. If you want to have a conversation, then be specific. Don't talk in rhetoric.
Well, he would sit down and talk to Putin, wouldn't he? That's number one.
Right. Yeah, he would sit down and talk to Putin. Good night. Sorry, Anthony. Not gonna
Yeah.
bother.
That was a Brexit clown.
Oh yeah.
And it took me a while. I had to cross-reference who he is, and particular words were about to come out of his mouth. So thank you for booting him.
Yep, exactly. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, buckle up. I knew it was going to be a night. Buckle up. So again, confirmation, the House failed to impeach Mayorkas, which is not unexpected. What's up? How are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing well, thank you. What's on your mind?
Good. You know, this is something I don't think I hear a lot of people talking about, but it really bothers me. I might be paranoid. But if Trump gets back in and he makes good on his promises to become a dictator for the first day and then maybe the second day and the 10th day and the 5th year, and we just don't have, elections anymore, we have to also realize that Donald Trump is in charge of the world's largest nuclear arsenal.
Correct.
We would literally become the Empire from Star Wars.
Correct.
Which is, I know that, a lot of people worry about, he's going to take these rights away. I'm much more worried about the whole world looking at us like supervillain and then trying to do something about it.
I care about.
Yeah, if America,
I care about the rights being taken away more than I do about that, quite frankly. But you have a valid point.
I mean, I think if America becomes a dictatorship or not a autocracy, I really think that just makes the whole world very, very unsafe. And I wish it was something people were talking about a lot more. America has to remain a democracy for the sake of the rest of the world.
I would agree. I think it's a good way to look at it. I think the specifics around that, though, and what you brought up, is that his supporters want that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They want that supremacy. They like YT supremacy. They want economic supremacy. They want global dominance and supremacy.
Yeah.
But from a dictatorial perspective and not from a democratic perspective.
Well, I think it's a nice message for all these people who are kind of wishy-washy on Biden, because apparently, I guess when you get old, you have nothing to offer the world anymore. But, this is a genuine concern and a very good reason to continue to support Biden's efforts, and just for the sake of peace.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Good perspective. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So apparently, Tom McClintock, a Republican from my state of California, not sure where, 5th District, wrote a 10-page memo about this impeachment. Let's just say it's not very supportive of his party.
No, I mean,
if you have not read it, you should read it, because it pretty much points out the hypocrisy of this impeachment. of Mayorkas.
Yeah, I mean, I think again the irony, and we talked about this earlier. And thank you, friends. Continue to like and share the live. Please no gifting. My apologies. I've tried 3 times to turn off gifting. I don't know what the hell's going on, but please no gifting. The irony and it's the hypocrisy. Like I said earlier, I think it's a bad bill. It's a really bad bill. It's not. But if you're a Republican, it's exactly what you had asked for. I mean, exactly. It's got. What is this? I wrote my notes here. So it ends the practice of catch and release, which they wanted.
Yep.
Raises qualifications for asylum requests, which they wanted. Expedites the approval denial process for asylum cases, which they wanted. The list goes on and on. Other examples of things that they wanted in the bill. They wanted the president and DHS the power to shut down the border under the law and not from an EO. They also wanted an increased number of border security agents and asylum officers. They wanted to expand the number of detention beds, and they wanted to increase screenings for fentanyl and other drugs. All those things were on the Republican wish list for this bill. For this bill, negotiated by Republicans, conservative Republicans in the Senate. And yet, even Mike Johnson and leadership in the House, before they even read the bill, they said it was dead on arrival. That's because Donald Trump told them to. He literally said, do not vote on this bill because I want to use it to campaign on. I mean, let's be real. I mean, you can't call yourself, it's not a functioning party to be able to do that. It's just, and I'm waiting for the rhetoric to say, well, it's a bullshit bill that your party created, a bullshit bill that includes the things that you've been saying you wanted, but you still wouldn't vote on it. And if your excuse is going to be Ukraine, and if your excuse is going to be Israel, then I would like the money back that Donald Trump sent to Ukraine under his administration. I'd like the money back that the Trump administration sent to Israel, because we've been funding both of those countries for a very long time. So stop with the noise. Stop with the noise.
Let me read you these 2 sentences from our homeboy here in California, who's a Republican. But today he's my homeboy. The problem is they failed to identify an impeachable crime that Mayorkas has committed. In effect, they stretch and distort the Constitution in order to hold the administration accountable for stretching and distorting the law.
Wow.
Sir,
I wonder if he's gonna quit the House.
I was just gonna say, feel free to come over to the other side. We will take you.
Where is he? In what district is he?
He's the 5th district, which is El Dorado Hills. I think that's not far from me, as a matter of fact.
Interesting.
I will look. The state is huge, so I could be wrong, right?
It's Fresno.
Oh, it's Fresno? The wife came in because she's on the live listening to us.
Thank God she's there. My goodness.
I know. What would I do without her?
Her fact checker needs fact checking, apparently.
Yeah.
Fresno. What's Fresno's claim to fame?
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Is there one?
El Dorado
right
Hills.
Yeah, it's Fresno.
Greater Sacramento region.
It looks like a big area. It goes all the way up to Sacramento.
Okay. Maybe Sacramento then.
I mean, look, this guy represents Yosemite, and I'm a huge fan of Yosemite. So that's a problem.
Well, he can come over. We don't mind. We take people in.
Or just defect. Yeah, you're right. Defect. We take defect.
Which is weird because that's a pretty red area of California, and but you know what? I think this needs to be said.
Okay.
Clearly, Tom McClintock has had it up to here with the performative bullshit, and he may have actually run to be a congressperson to affect change. And he must be sitting to himself going, I left the beauty of Yosemite to come to DC and do this.
I think you pronounced that wrong, isn't it? Yosemite?
Oh, Yosemite. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. I forgot my bigly words. Oh, wait.
Exactly.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, that's appropriate. That's appropriate.
Have props will travel.
Have props will travel. Indeed. All right. Got another guest joining. Hopefully, I don't know what is going on with the box. Hey, Carla, how are you tonight? Carla. Hello, Carla.
Hello. Sorry, I accidentally hit it.
It's okay. I can drop you down. No
Okay,
problem.
thank you.
Thank you. It's weird. What the hell's going on there? So again, I think it's really important that we call this out because we talked about this a lot, right? And
Yeah.
we have a party that's incapable of legislating, a party whose sole priority has been the border. They do this publicity stunt where they go to Eagle Pass, they bring like 40 people with them, they say, we've got to fix the border. This is a national security threat. They are given a bill that is the most conservative legislation regarding immigration that our country has ever seen. It literally, and that's why I'm thankful it's not going to pass, and I'm pissed off that the Democrats would have given in on this. But I also understand how government works, right? I get it.
Yeah.
Point being is that you had the opportunity to do this, and you said, no, we're not going to do it. So then there's no border crisis. So stop with your whining, stop with your bitching and moaning, stop with all that complaining about it, because your party is not serious. And the people that are spamming the chat about that, why aren't you complaining to them? If you wanted this to pass, then your anger should be directed towards the people that you represent. There's Rollo. I'd like to talk to him. I'm glad he's here.
Yeah.
I reached out to him earlier and we chatted briefly. So, good evening, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Very well. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I just got done writing a motion to reopen for one of my clients to try to get him out of deportation. You know, that's what I do.
Excellent. Friends, if I can ask, please, in the chat, please no gifting. And my apologies if the gifting is not turned off. That's on me. I tried. I don't know what the hell happened. So, Rollo, we were just talking, and you and I talked briefly about how I think it's great that this bill is going to fail because it does nothing to protect the people involved, but it's the hypocrisy, right? It's the hypocrisy that we've seen. So, can you give us your perspective on, what's happened in regard to this bill?
Yeah, I mean, when you get all the immigration attorneys and all the immigration attorney associations riled up and their feathers ruffled in opposition to this bill, you know that the Republicans had a really good chance to really screw over immigrants.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because we just had a training on it with one of the organizations of immigration attorneys that I belong to, and I got there a little bit late, but they broke down the bill, and from what I gathered in the time that I was able to attend, it's really bad. It mostly it's a punitive bill that will be very detrimental to immigrants, to asylum seekers. It gives the president lots of power to shut down the border. It basically limits due process tremendously more than it already is for asylum seekers and other types of people who are seeking some kind of removal defense. And it does almost nothing to really help, immigration. So it doesn't address one of the big elephants in the room that should be a bipartisan issue, which is DACA, right? It didn't even touch DACA.
Right.
It's really bad. So if Trump was the cause of this bill being shut down, I will have to praise Trump for a day, thanking him that, it didn't go through.
Yeah, again, it's the hypocrisy to me, though, right? Because again, I'm glad it's not going to pass either, because, like you said, there's no humanitarian and or economic and or family reunification. You notice I've been following your lead on that priorities when it comes to this legislation. But is there anything from what you read? Is there anything that would be a starter that would help in this bill?
It does. I missed this part of the training, but it does do certain things to like speed up certain applications. But I mean, nothing that I'm like gung ho about. Nothing that
Gotcha.
I would say, even though there's all of these really bad things, because of this few things that we got, then okay, let's pass it, right?
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
nothing that I'm happy about if it passes. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean,
at that,
go ahead.
Republicans didn't jump at the opportunity, right? They just don't want to give any leeway to Biden because even though it's a very bad bill for immigrants, one of the big talking points of Republicans is that Biden has an open border, that he's not doing anything for immigration, that that would be some of the big criticisms that Republicans have. So if Biden wants to get this through, then they couldn't say that anymore, even though it's not true, right, to begin with. But the way that this bill is written, it would give them a lot more powers to really crack down on the supposed problems that we have at the border. In my opinion, they're not really problems, but it provides certain right-wing solutions. So they had this great opportunity and they didn't take it, or they
Yeah.
likely won't take it.
Yeah. I mean, again, the most conservative approach to immigration reform ever that we've ever seen in one bill. And like you said, they had an opportunity to do it and they chose not to. And they're not going to get the opportunity again. And I hope the Democrats have learned from this that you can't negotiate with bad faith actors. End of the day. Like I said in my note to you, everybody likes sausage, but nobody likes to see how sausage is made. There's a lot of making of sausage in Congress, and this was an opportunity for the Republicans, to your point, to seize on this, and they failed miserably. At the same time, they tried to impeach Mayorkas, and that failed as well. So, again, I don't expect people that are MAGA to all of a sudden turn blue, but can't you recognize the ineptness and the inability to legislate within your own party? I mean, again, literally everything that you wanted in this bill, and you couldn't even do that. That's crazy.
Democrats didn't get anything.
Nothing.
They were willing to go and just give everything up.
Yep. Sadly.
In exchange for whatever they wanted. And honestly, like I said earlier today, for the immigrant community, which I am part of, we almost feel like we're getting stabbed in the back because they're pushing for this horrible bill. So, and I've been talking about it in other lives, especially like Spanish lives, because they're really interested in this bill. And a lot of them were praising it. They're like, yeah, we're getting reform, we're getting this. And I'm like, no,
you're not.
We do not praise this. We do not praise Democrats for going over and handing over the whole store, right? And getting nothing in return except for funding that should be passed anyways, regardless.
Agreed.
If anything, they should separate these things and just pass it along, because there's no benefit to the immigrant population, to asylum seekers, to hardly anything. So I hope it fails miserably, and that way it is not a black eye on Joe Biden against the immigrant population that would basically cause him to lose more votes, right? Because I would feel betrayed. I feel dirty, man. Just talking about it and everything that was given up with nothing in return. I feel dirty. I want to go take a shower.
I understand, man, and you're right. It's funny. I thought of you when I read it today. I'm like, I wonder how Rollo's feeling. So I appreciate you checking in with me. But I do. Again, you bring up a really good point. So MAGA. So this is an example of what people on the left do when we criticize our own party. It was not a good move. I was disappointed that Democrats in the Senate tried to say that this was good policy. Many said we attempted to try to negotiate with the opposition, and now we know that we can't. So if you learn your lesson the hard way, then I guess you learn your lesson the hard way. But my question is, we've known all along that they're not good faith actors, and they weren't willing to do anything. Now, again, people don't like bills. I mean, people talk about single line bills, but that's just not how our government works. There are certain things that you can pass that are single line items, but in a divided Congress, as tight as it is now, like you and I talked about supermajorities, we don't have that. We've got divided government. So each party has to give shit up. But you're right. We gave away the farm, and I was disappointed in that. Very disappointed. Very disappointed.
By the way, the standalone bill for Israel aid also just failed.
Oh, there you go.
The hits just keep on coming. Way to go, GOP.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that we knew that wasn't going to pass anyway. That's no surprise there. There's no
Yeah.
surprise. But again, it's just like it's the same record. Again, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to sound like a broken record. It's the hypocrisy for me. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. So MAGA and Republicans, you can never claim again that you want policy to close the border. You literally had the magic 8 ball in front of you. Everything that you would have wanted. Everything you would have wanted, and now you got nothing. You had your chance.
It gave emergency powers similar to what Trump did on Title 42, right? It gave like emergency powers to like expulse people from the country, to stop people from coming in if it hit certain thresholds. And it gave like a lot of leeway to the executive branch, specifically the president, to decide who comes in and when they come in. It left it a little bit ambiguous so that we don't show our decks, deck of cards, our hands to the cartels in Mexico, so that they would know when to put in people and when not to, right? So, I mean, it really was it was nicely done. If I was a Republican and I was pushing, to really shut down everything. It gave money for new judges, new CBP agents. It did a lot of really the things that my counterparts in the other side would really want. So I'm biting my nails. I mean, I know it's not going to pass, but even just talking about it gives me anxiety, because I know, for example, it would only allow for 6 months for I-589s. That is the application for asylum claims that you have to do, and normally you get a year to do it. 12 months to enter your asylum application. It would drop that down to 6 months, right?
Man.
And if anybody knows the asylum process, especially for attorneys and the heavy lifting that we have to do for these claims, there's just no way that we can put in a halfway decent case in favor of an asylum seeker when we're fighting uphill, and have enough time to put anything together. So it would greatly diminish the due process of people coming here to seek asylum. So yeah, we handed over everything and still didn't take it. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, even James Langford even called out his own party, and I find it interesting that the members of his party in Oklahoma, where he's from, they want to censure him because he literally tried to work with Democrats to get something done. Once again, the hypocrisy, right? Introduce harsh, punitive, as to use your words, restrictive immigration policy, and because, God forbid, you'd want to work with the other side to try to get something done, they want to censor you. That's crazy. But that's what we have now. That's why people's opinion of Congress is in the shitter. Literally. Yeah. It's disturbing. Well, I appreciate you jumping in, man. I really do. Thanks for that update. And I'll probably be checking back because I'm sure we'll get more. So thanks a lot,
for
brother.
sure. I'll be in and out.
Buddy.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks, Rollo.
Bye. All right, bye.
Thank you, Anthony.
Please follow Rollo in the chat, guys. Again, thank you for my apologies for not having gifts turned off, but I screwed up. That's on me. I thought I had it taken care of, and I didn't. But my apologies. So, where's Political Mom? Is she still out there? I told her I'd bring her up tonight. I want to talk to her. Chelsea, if you're back, please come back because I want to talk to you. My bad for not bringing you up earlier.
My
question, sir?
Valley home girl.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
How funny is it that we lived literally within 5 minutes of each other, and over a decade, never once? I mean, she's clearly years younger than I am, but just interesting, right? That we don't have friends in common. We don't. It's pretty funny to be that close in that small of an area. It's just nuts. And then to find her on TikTok, of all things, right? I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy sauce.
I know. I was having a conversation with a mutual on this app, and we realized how many similarities we have in life. like incredible, including the variations of our children's names and the etymology behind certain words and how they connect us and jobs we've had in our life. We're both like, are you shitting me? Maybe we're related. That's scary.
Yeah. How did you and I never end up at the Boston Garden at a Dead show in the 90s together?
We probably were. I mean, let's be real.
True.
We literally we breathed in the air collectively, sir. So I'm sure we did.
Way to lace in a Pink Floyd lyric.
I'm here for you. There she is. Speak of the devil. Sorry,
Hey,
Chels. It was crazy. We had chaos earlier. So
do you know I have to wear this because my family's from California and they said that I have to support anybody else but the Chiefs. So
okay.
I'll be repping this today and tomorrow.
That works for me. That works for me.
I'm a Pats fan, but I have to, you know.
Well, I will let that slide for this weekend because I'm anybody but Kansas City.
Thank
there you go.
you.
Yep.
Like we're the only dynasty that gets to be here. Okay.
Damn straight, girl. Absolutely. So you've had some interesting conversations of late. You want to fill us in?
They've been interesting. I've had the most nasty messages this week alone. After every live.
Really?
Why is that? I wonder why that is.
I have no idea. Somebody told me to go back to California and don't come into Texas anymore. And I told him that I was going to California the shit out of his Texas. And I was just going to do it with a smile on my face. He did not like that.
Did you have something about Eric that you wanted to share?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so like Eric was our representative, me and Anthony's representative back in California. But I actually knew Eric years prior to him running. Eric used to be my
Swalwell.
Yeah, Eric Swalwell used to be my soccer coach. So he was my goalkeeper coach for like 4 years before he even ran. And I worked on his first campaign because I still couldn't believe that he was doing it because he never talked politics ever before that. Like I've had dinner with him. I have his phone number. Like I talk to him quite frequently, like once a month or something. He'll check in.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
He's like really down to earth. And like I still can't believe that he's in politics. Like every time I see him up there, I laugh. Like the beard is not him. Like he never had one. No, like he never did. He was always baby faced. Like I think I have like a picture of him doing an event where he was doing like goalkeeping. I have more.
My favorite part about Swalwell is he has the clock.
I don't know if it would show really well, but
I like how he brings the clock out. Then he talks about how long Jim Jordan has been pushing or avoiding the subpoena. I love that.
Yeah. So when they did the event for Nancy Pelosi on like her, last day when she stepped down from being like speaker and part of the Democratic Party in that aspect, he texted me and told me he was bringing his daughter to that day. And he was like, it's going to be so awesome. Like she's going to appreciate it. It's going to be so cool. And he did. And he sent me a picture from it, like him and his daughter. It was so cute.
That's really
he's
cool.
Unbelievable. And like I know that a lot of people like every time, like that's why I don't share that story with like MAGA and stuff, because on the Chinese stuff I have to hear and stuff. But like Eric is so down to earth. Like he's so much involved in our community back home, like for what he did. Like there was a soccer field in like my hometown that we named after like a soccer player from like the 99 Women's World Cup. And he was there for this event and he donated money to the soccer organization out of like his own money and stuff. And it was like super heartwarming that he gave back to the kids. And like every time he's back home, he gives like a huge event. He's so sweet. He walks like door to door. Like that's what I like about him. It's genuine. So like a lot of people go back to their communities and don't really put any effort. Like McCarthy went like once every like couple years back to Bakersfield, but like Eric goes all the time. He spends a lot of time at like the Lawrence Livermore Lab and stuff. It's over by where we grew up and stuff, and he puts a lot.
That's really cool.
His committees.
That's really cool. I appreciate that. That's really cool.
I met him when he was running for Congress the first time. He came to our VFW post and spoke, and there was literally, I don't know, maybe like 30 veterans present at the Pleasanton VFW hall. And I've got a picture with him, and he kept in touch for several years and would always come to the post and would always stop by and always wanted to make sure that someone from his office was available. So we had a phone number that we could call if there was a veteran that was having issues or that needed help. And several times his staff intervened with the VA and quietly stood up and got stuff done. So, when we first met him, I thought, who the fuck is this kid?
That's
right? I mean, he was talking about a baby face. He
still has it.
literally,
Never
yeah,
had
I
a
mean,
kid.
Yeah.
right. But back then he looked literally like he was maybe a senior in college.
Yeah.
Maybe. But
I mean, he had no ambitions in politics.
yeah, so genuine when he speaks to you, right? Like you're almost it, and Chelsea gets this too. I remember thinking, this guy's so nice. Why does he want to be a congressman? Like,
I know.
I was afraid it was going to eat him up, but much to
Good hearts and good character sometimes go to die when you serve in government. But
yeah.
well, thanks for
yeah.
sharing that, Chelsea. I appreciate that. That's
Anytime,
really
guys.
cool.
You guys have a good live.
Appreciate you. See you
Tri
later.
Valley.
Yeah.
Be well. See you later, buddy. Thanks a lot. That's funny. That's funny. Again, friends, we are participating in CoinCop. Please, no gifting. It's on me. I'm going to turn it off, so we'll leave it right there. So I've sent out a bunch of invites because we see a lot of friends. I had someone said that they would they're waiting for Trump to rule the world. I'd love to talk to them. That would be awesome. That'd be a great conversation to have because I think that would be amazing. So MAGA, tap in like the live guys. I really appreciate that, and please share it. Again, the question that's on the table tonight, specifically since we have the ruling, let's go back and revisit the events of the day. We know that the DC Circuit, so it's a 3-judge panel. One judge appointed by George Bush, and the other 2 appointed by Joe Biden. They both ruled They all 3 ruled unanimously that the claim that the president has immunity, any president has immunity, was denied, and it was denied overwhelmingly and vociferously in their opinion, to the point where this opinion is bulletproof, as legal experts have been saying all day. So the way the process will work now, hang on one second. The way the process will work now is that if the Trump team requests what's referred to as an en banc appeal, it's a Latin term, I think, or French, en banc, that would mean that the entire DC Circuit would hear it. The way that they wrote the opinion, if the Trump team were to do that, then Judge Chutkan in the DC trial court would immediately start her trial process again. So I don't think the Trump team wants that to happen because, again, the opinion is bulletproof. So their option is then to go to the Supreme Court. That happens Monday. They gave them the deadline of Monday to appeal. So the way that the appeal was written, it's very specific to the immunity claim. And it addresses all the bullshit narratives that the Trump team had. They cited legal precedent. They cited statements made during the impeachment inquiry. They cited members of Congress, senators. They've named names, literally, in this opinion. And I would encourage everybody to read it. It's 57 pages. It takes you an hour. It's really not that much, an hour and a half, depending on how fast you read. But it's very detailed. It's very detailed. So, again, the question, MAGA, it's a loss for the Trump team. Yes, but you should be, at the end of the day, you should be happy about that. Because why would you want any president to have immunity? Because I don't think you've thought this through. Because if a president has immunity, then why bother trying to impeach Joe Biden? If a president has immunity, then why should Joe Biden leave the White House? He should just stay. There should be no election this fall. He can cancel elections. He could literally just say, "Yeah, no, not interested. I'm just not gonna. I don't want to have an election because I'm above the law. I can do whatever I want." So again, that's not what you would want, especially as a conservative, especially as a small government conservative, which we know MAGA is not. But that's the root of the Republican Party, small government, right? You don't want that. You really don't want that. But I don't know if you've necessarily thought that through all the way. Yeah, I don't think you've thought that through all the way. So I want to talk to MAGA about that tonight. So where are you, MAGA? I see a lot of you spamming, but you're unwilling to come up. And Anthony and I have a theory. We think you're all bots and you're fake. We don't think you're real. We think MAGA is like 2% of the Republican Party. If that. If that. Joanne, trying to bring you up, but you're unable to connect as well. I'll try Star once again. Let's see if this works this time. Hello, Star. Are you in a better spot to talk now?
Not really, because I came back in, but I'm going to talk to you until I go outside.
Okay.
So keep going.
Now I know what you remember. Okay, so what did you want to talk about, Star?
Okay, to be honest with you, 1,000%. I don't like Trump. Never liked Trump before he was the president. In my opinion, he's rude, he's caste, and he's a chauvinist that can hurt women. In my opinion, I don't know how he was able to become president. But once again, I will say, like I said in the comments, I'm slow or an idiot when it comes to politics. I listen to certain things and I don't research them, but I feel what I feel, and that's how I vote. So I look at a person's character and I look at what they sometimes say and then say, and I vote that way, to be honest with you.
So what does that mean for the way you vote?
Like, I've always been a Democrat since I was able to vote.
Okay.
But right now, my faith in Democrats is going down just a tad bit.
Why?
But my fear, can I finish? But my fear in Republicans is going way up because they're hurting women. And Trump hurt women. So then he put somebody. So what you said, because I've been watching you. So what he did with the Supreme Court before he got ousted is put somebody in that party. And I'm sorry, it was always 50-50. And Democrats didn't hurt Republicans. They voted in the Supreme Court on what was right and justice. Right now, what they just did to women hurts all women. So it wasn't a 50-50. It wasn't okay. It was hurtful, disrespectful, and ignorant. And I will do with my body, and so will my kids, and so will everybody, what they want to. But the problem is, we got a president that put that, well, an ex-president that put that person in there to be a dictarian. And that's what he did.
Let's get
nobody sees it.
Right. Well, let's get to the crux of the situation, Star. So you've got an election coming up this fall. Who are you voting for?
Okay, so I gotta ask one question before that. It definitely won't be Trump. But is he really still able to be a party person for the Republicans?
Yeah.
Isn't all the things?
He's the presumptive nominee.
Okay. Well, that's sad. The Constitution said he couldn't be, but okay.
No, not yet. It hasn't. I mean, there's a decision pending. The Supreme Court will make that decision this week and next week. So, right as it stands right now, there's been some state courts that have said he's disqualified based on the 14th Amendment, Section 3, the insurrection clause. So that's where that sits right now. So he's still on the ballot pending appeal.
Okay, this is where I said I'm not true understanding about everything. I'm slow and I won't say I'm slow, but I'm not politically correct or up to date. But I thought
okay. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Once a president serves 4 years and he's opted out, he can't run again.
Yes, you can. You can only serve 2 terms. So the way that the Constitution writes it, you can serve either 2 consecutive terms, or you can serve a term, take a break, then serve another term. Grover Cleveland Alexander did that in our nation's history. He was president, then he wasn't president, then he became president again.
But was he impeached?
He was impeached, but he was not removed.
Oh.
So the way the impeachment process works in our system is that the House of Representatives is the only body in our government that can introduce what's referred to as articles of impeachment. So he was impeached twice. The second step to impeachment is a trial in the Senate. It's not like a normal trial, like a legal trial. It's a political trial. And in both cases, he was acquitted in the Senate, but there was bipartisan votes, meaning that members of his own party agreed that he should be removed.
Okay, so right now, federally, Trump has been charged for
He's been
crimes.
charged. Yeah, 4 times.
And he has to pay money. So
Total. Well, hold on one second. So a little bit different. So there's no financial penalties necessarily in criminal convictions. There are in civil convictions, civil liability. So he's been found civilly liable in a couple of cases, actually. He's got to pay, potentially hundreds of millions of dollars.
So this is my thing. Why would Republicans, which they didn't like Trump, and they already said it back in that term, why would they still vote for him and let him up? He already said he wants to be a dictator. He wants to do everything when he was president, like the French, like the Korean, like this and that. Why would people in their right mind, this is why I have to step outside, and it's freezing out here in Illinois. I have to step outside because my family thinks he's the good all for all. Oh, everything. And you know what the biggest thing is in Illinois? So everybody's talking about food stamps, right? For all the every state gets them, right? If you're low income and you work and you need to make a living wage, but it doesn't help your family. So that's a substantial income to help you if you apply for it and you are approved of it. They have something on TikTok, which is this TikTok, that says Biden stopped it. He stopped it. As a month, everything's going to go down, and because of immigrants and everything else, you're done.
Right.
They are showing so much propaganda and so much stuff about hating this person and not helping these people, and it's sad and it's hurtful.
You're right. That's the whole point. And I appreciate you jumping in, Star. I do want to bring some other people up, but I think this is what you should consider: is that you're right. That's so. The question that you asked is, why do Republicans continue to support him? That's the question we've all been asking, quite frankly. I ask regularly. I mean, where's the line for people as a Trump voter? And most people don't really care. They don't care what he's done. They don't care that he's essayed women. They don't care that he's obstructed justice. They don't care allegedly that he took national defense information. They don't care allegedly that he, like I said, obstructed justice, willfully retained national defense information, shared classified information, engaged in insurrection. They don't care about any of that. They just don't care. So that's the part that's dangerous. Somebody like you that's trying to navigate through, what's the better decision for me? That's a debate that everybody should have. Like, what party supports what I believe in?
I don't have that debate. I will never vote Trump. I don't care if he's Democrat or Republican, because if we all know, he's flip-flopped through both.
I know.
You can see him through his years. He was Democrat, then Republican, Democrat, Republican. He is all about himself and not the country, not anybody.
Yeah,
he is for himself, not us. It's him. And that's what's sad, that people don't get that, because he hurts us in a way that people can't see, because they look at him as a person of TV, then they look at him as a person of, oh, he would never lie to us. Look at what he's done. Look at what he did. Yeah. It's sad.
I know.
So how can we stop him?
Well, we have to vote, Star. So that's why people like you that are on the fence, that's why I think it's really, really important that we send a big message, because a blowout win by Joe Biden, which is what I predict this fall, a blowout win, and a blowout electoral win will tell MAGA that it's game over. Because we can go back to 2016. Donald Trump has lost elections every year since. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, special elections, the candidates he supported, they all lose. The only thing that's left is for the Republicans to wake up themselves, and the more he loses, the better off we all are. So, but I encourage you to try to have conversations with your family. I know it might be difficult, but the last thing I would want would be families to break up over something like this. But I get it.
Oh
I've
no, I
seen it
agree
happen.
with that. I just step out because we don't talk about politics because it's so bad.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
they're listening
Well,
to TikTok right now and what they say about immigration and what they're doing and all this other stuff, and they
tell them
don't
to jump in
realize
here.
that half
Tell
that
them
stuff.
tell them to jump in here. We'll talk to them.
No, but what they don't realize is one of the things that they gave me, I researched it and I looked back. The thing I thought what she showed me was from 2023, not 2024.
Yeah.
It was a lie. It's
I know.
something that they show you to hurt Biden.
That's
And
the
like
game.
I told
That's the
her,
game.
it stop it. Just listen. Oh no, this is what's happening. Just stop watching TikTok. Stop watching this and pay attention to normal things.
Yeah, if they want to jump in and
And then
talk
they
to us,
lie.
they'd be happy to talk to them. Well, thank you for jumping in, Star. We appreciate it. I'm glad you got a chance to connect
Thank you,
with us and
Star.
talk. But keep keep
And thank you
engaging.
for both of you, because like
You
I
got it.
said, I'm government wise, like with the B94 and all that.
You're doing
I'm
fine.
stupid with all that.
No, you're doing
But
fine. Don't say
this
that about
is my
yourself. You're doing great.
opinion and what I see, and this is why I wanted to come up because I want people to know, like, I'm not a TikTok bot. I'm not I'm a normal person, and I don't watch all these, lessons and know the law.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
normal person, and I
Well, that's
want
how we
us
that's
to
how we all get
be.
better, though, Star. But that's how we all get better, Star. I appreciate that. I want to bring some other people up, Star. So thank you
Okay,
very
go
much for
ahead.
joining.
Thank you. Have a good
Really
night.
appreciate it. You too. Thanks a lot. Good night.
Bye.
I mean, I'd love to talk to members of our family if we can get there.
Yeah.
So it does look like, again, we're confirming here, just to kind of recap some of the news, the impeachment inquiry of Alejandro Mayorkas in the House failed. The Republicans could only afford to lose 3 votes. They lost 4. We do know, and you guys please continue to like and share the live, and no gifting, please. I do want to remind people that we've got a primary that's happening today. Nevada's weird because they have a primary and a caucus. Oh, we lost Anthony. So Nikki Haley is not on the caucus ballot, and Donald Trump is not on the primary ballot, which is weird. So they will each win those. So there'll be a delegate split there. It's a strange sort of a political climate out there. Nevada's very, very strange because the population centers are around Las Vegas and Reno, and then it's desert. I don't know if you've ever been to Las Vegas before. It always blows me away. I've ridden motorcycles in that part of the world. It blows me away that Las Vegas in the middle of a desert, and yet there is water everywhere, which is why we've got drought. So we've got the Colorado River and lakes and everything else being sort of drying up. Welcome back.
I have no idea. For a second, I thought you got bananaed.
No, I don't know what happened. I was talking and then you were gone. And then we're also talking about, for those of you who don't know, we had Rollo up earlier. Rollo, an immigration attorney who's become a friend on this app, talking about the bill that we're all kind of glad that it failed, quite frankly, because it was a horrible piece of legislation if you believe in human rights and you believe in a humanitarian approach to border policy. But it's everything that Republicans have wanted, including an increase in detention centers, fentanyl, the whole 9 yards. It was like the candy store for Republicans. Everything that they wanted, and they still couldn't do it. So that tells me right there that the entire Republican Party is gone. They're done. They're not serious legislators, and it's intentional. It's a political strategy that will fail. We don't want to do anything about the border, even though we said we want to do something about the border. so we can continue to blame Joe Biden. I hope the Democrats are aware of that, and I hope that they campaign like hell on that very issue. I would expect an ad tomorrow. If I were in charge, there would be lots of money spent on an ad tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, to remind them how feckless and cowardice they are. Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, my back is sore. We're having all kinds of connection issues tonight. I don't know what's going on. I apologize, friends. That we're having some technical issues tonight with the live. Guests aren't able to connect. People are dropping off. It's very weird.
It's not just you. It was all, like I said, all day people have been having issues. There's something going on.
Yeah, well, I tried to. I don't know if TikTok is caught on to the whole CoinCon thing, because I know for a fact I double checked it that my GIFs were turned off, and as soon as I turned the live on, went live, it turned off again. So I disconnected, I reconnected, I double checked again, the GIFs were off, and again. So that's on me. Anthony knows I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to technical stuff, but I can fix a motorcycle and I can build a house, but I can't apparently navigate an app.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, can anybody successfully navigate this app? It's designed quite poorly, if I'm being honest.
That's true. Good evening. Your name? How are you?
Hey, Fax, how's it going? And
Very well,
Anthony,
thank
how's
you.
it going?
Hey.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in and just clarify something. So the Arizona, or sorry, the Nevada primary today means nothing. The caucus on Thursday, Wednesday, whenever it is, they get to award all of the delegates for the state.
I thought that too, but then I was reading about it today that there are a small number of delegates in the primary that are available. Is that not the case?
Not from what I'm aware. That's why Trump is not appearing on the primary. They said that anybody that appears on the primary won't be awarded anything for the caucus, and that's where all the chips are going to be.
Interesting. Interesting. Because I was reading about that, and I thought the same thing when I heard that, but I was reading that there's because of the fact that they've changed the
Nevada, whatever.
Yeah, the way that they, yeah, exactly. Tomato. For the GOP, 26 delegates are state, 49 total. So what happens to the other 23? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So I appreciate that, though. That's a good perspective. It's just strange. Why would you do both?
Yeah,
really weird.
yeah. From everything I'm hearing, it's the Republican state that gets to decide everything, or the state party, and
the caucus.
Right. So
Yeah.
I don't
That
know.
makes more sense. Appreciate that clarification, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem. Keep it up. Love
Appreciate
you
it.
guys.
Have a good night. You too, man. Later.
Thank you.
Bye.
You know, and Anthony, we haven't talked about this piece enough, right? So as we know, we had the Iowa and the New Hampshire. So let's look at Iowa. So we had the Iowa caucus, and Trump got barely 50% of the vote there.
Right.
Meanwhile, as an incumbent, I guess you could refer to him as an incumbent, as close as you'll get not being in power as an incumbent, right? Joe Biden goes to South Carolina, gets 96% of the vote. So who really is the dominant figure in their party? Interesting. And considering the voter turnout in Iowa and in New Hampshire was pathetically low. MAGA, you're losing again. You're losing, MAGA. You're losing everywhere. Why would you want to continue to support this guy? You're literally losing everywhere. Do you guys even know that if Nikki Haley was your nominee, you'd win the White House? You aware of that? She's been regularly polling, again, too far out for polls, but you would win the White House. She won't win because MAGA won't support her, but you keep losing everywhere you look. I don't know about you, Anthony, but I don't like losing. I don't know, especially if I did it over and over and over again.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, me neither.
With the caveat that I'm adult enough to accept that I lose sometimes.
There is that. And, and just as a little reminder, if we go back in history, if Donald Trump had handled COVID semi-responsibly, he would have been reelected.
Yes.
He would have been reelected. If he had accepted his defeat in regard to 2020, it's very likely that he would be the president again. But because of everything he's done, and then there's the criming stuff. He might want to he should have considered stop criming. So here's another question for you, MAGA. Not only are we asking you if you still stand with Trump, but if he is convicted, and he will be convicted this summer, he will be convicted. I will take bets on that. If he's convicted, will you still vote for him? I would like to know that.
Yeah,
I
that's
really
a really,
would.
and that's a fair question.
Yeah, I would
Right.
really like to know. I'm curious.
Yeah.
We've spoken to enough people that we know that they will. Trump had the
Correct.
economy right. Okay, so you don't have enough followers. Let's see about you, Jay Shep. You've got enough. Come on up, Jay Shep. Jay Shep, 1984. Jump in the box. Anthony, I want to talk to you. Just a conversation, dude. That's it. Just want to know if you would still vote for him if he's convicted. I'm really curious, and I want to know why. I want to know why that is. It's just I still don't understand that phenomenon. So please jump in the box. Ronnie, you got it. Ronnie Thomas, 667. You said the same thing. You said you would vote for him too. Jump in the box. We'd like to talk to you. Again, just a conversation. I'm just genuinely curious as to why you would vote for him.
Yeah.
So
I don't know
you guys
what they're afraid of. I mean, I've literally said 1,000 times, I'm not here to yell at people or insult people. We just want a conversation. We don't bite all the time. And when we do, it's only with our lovers. So,
I was
you
just going to
have
say,
nothing
let me
to
ask
worry
your
about.
wife that. I nibble. I don't bite. I nibble.
Oh, I'm going to get myself in trouble.
No, but I mean, it's a sincere question, you guys. It's literally, he may be able to delay long enough with Judge Cannon's help to avoid trials left. That would just be one case. Do I think, if I was put on the spot, do I think the Mar-a-Lago docs case will happen before the election? I do, but I think it will be very close to the election. So, but
Yeah,
again,
and also
go ahead.
Jack still has the option of asking her to be removed from the case if she continues to do things that are obvious in support
Right,
of Trump.
I was just reading about that actually, and she is towing the line. She's not done
very,
anything.
very close to. Yep. She's already been censured, so one more censure, and that would put her very close to being removed from the bench.
Right, because judges have just complete discretion when it comes to schedules, and that's really the only thing that she's done.
That's about it.
That's about it. So it's pretty interesting. So again, MAGA, we just want to. I just want to know. I mean, and this is the funny part about it. You guys are so early on. When I first started doing this, the box would be filled with 25 MAGA that would want a piece of me. But now you guys just spam in the chat. So it tells me that you don't support Trump, that you're not a Trump guy. You're just not. You say you are, but you're really not. You're really not. Because if you were, then why wouldn't you want to have that conversation? Like, why?
Yeah, where are all these GOP warrior alpha males? I don't see you jumping in the box. You're chirping a lot down here in the comments.
Because they're not alpha. Dating your mom, you don't have enough followers. Sorry, not my rule. It's TikTok's rule. Why debate someone? What was that? That is Delulu. Why debate someone that's Delulu? Well, Tommy, you don't have enough followers either. But from your profile picture, bro, you might need a friend or two. Just saying. Just saying, bro.
Wouldn't it be cool if we could have a rule where every live we could select 5 people to come up to the box?
Hang on one second. Sentinel, you win, bro. We can call them Minos. MAGA in name only.
Dude. Oh, that's a shirt waiting to drop.
Thank you, Sentinel. You win the award for this evening. You have earned the distinction of the best troll, the best MAGA troll, reverse MAGA troll of the evening. Well played, sir.
Man.
Well played. All right.
Yeah.
I've talked to Country before. Country's a good dude. We'll have a good conversation. Hello there, sir. It's been a while.
It has been a while, and I'm not going to hold you too long. I just had surgery today, so my mind's not clicking too well.
Oh, you all right, bro? You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I had shoulder surgery probably, 3 weeks ago, and then I had an incision open up, got infected and all that, so they had to go back in today and clean a bunch of stuff up and do all that stuff.
Damn, bro. Damn. Well, what's on
So,
your mind tonight, my friend? What's on your
well,
mind?
I think I accidentally hit request because I was
Oh,
looking to see how many you had requested. So, um, yeah, I didn't really have much on my mind. I was just going to listen to you tonight and see what you were saying.
so what do you think about that decision that the DC court made today that he's not immune from prosecution? Are you cool with that?
Um, some ways yes and some ways no.
Why no?
Well, I think there's a lot of presidents that do a lot of controversial things
Fair.
that I don't necessarily think is cool. Like when the drone program started, and we're using them to unilaterally kill people. Um,
That's fair. That's reasonable. But wouldn't you say that would fall under the job of the president? We can debate it. Like we can go back to George Bush and war crimes. We can talk about Iran Contra with Reagan. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we could look at through history. But I'm not excusing them. But wouldn't you think that they fall more under the rules or the guidelines of the job description of being president?
well, somewhat. So I mean, when was the last war that we actually went through Congress to get approval for war that how it's supposed to be? I mean, it's been a
Well,
long time, and I think that's a checks and balance that's in place that hasn't been followed by Democrats and Republicans for many years.
go ahead, Anthony.
Well, but that's actually Congress's fault. They are the ones that gave the temporary authority to the president. I understand what you're saying, and I do believe that does need, if it hasn't already, and I can't remember if they voted on it or not, but it does need to get back into the power of Congress, and that what was supposed to be a temporary measure that was gifted to Bush needs to be rescinded. But Congress has to take action on it. So, country, you and I both know. I think if we're going to wait on Congress to take action on that, you and I might be waiting a while. I think if we're going to wait
Yeah,
on Congress to take
you got.
action on
I'm
that,
gonna mute you, bro, because you got a little bit of feedback. Why don't you minimize the app and then unminimize because you got some feedback, bro. Why don't you minimize the app? Hold on. All right. So there you go. Hopefully, that should have fixed it. So country. I think the bigger question though is if we keep it to what we're talking about, like right now, you don't want the president of the United States to have unlimited immunity, do you? And I mean, I'm not talking about Trump specifically. I'm just talking about the office of the presidency. You don't want the president of the United States to have unlimited immunity, do you?
No, I think there should be checks and balances.
Okay, so
I
then
think.
you're okay with that decision then.
Well, I think it's Congress's job. I don't necessarily think it should be appointed or judges that haven't been elected.
Well, but this is a legal decision. It's the interpretation of the Constitution, and that's what the judicial branch does. So they're the ones that are determining whether or not the office of the presidents under the Constitution has unlimited immunity. So that's what I'm asking you. Do you think
Sure, but
a
I,
president?
I think I think judges have become horrifically partisan, and it should never be that way. Judges should be impartial to the Constitution, but in this country today, man, and you got it on both sides. You got them on the right, and you got them on the left, and I think that's the shame of where we're at in this country right now.
Well, again, let's stick to the question though. Do you think a president should have unlimited immunity?
I do not.
Okay, so then you're okay with the decision.
I I'm kind of indifferent, I guess.
Don't you think that's dangerous to be indifferent about something like that? It's kind of a big deal. Like you wouldn't. I mean, I know you're a Trump guy. You wouldn't want Joe Biden to have unlimited immunity, would you?
No, and I don't want Trump to have unlimited immunity either. I think unlimited power is dangerous. Uh, what was that? My father used to say, uh, "Power corrupts, absolutely, and absolute power corrupts.
Yeah,
Something
yeah. I
like
mean,
that.
I think the idea of power is dangerous, especially unchecked, which is exactly the point. So I guess your point about judicial corruption, I think, is valid. So would the same apply to you? Would you say the same thing if the decision went to Trump, though? This is the issue that I have. It seems like it's easy to make that argument, and you and I've had good conversation, and I'm just
Yeah.
trying to understand where you fall on this because
No, and I
you know
don't disagree. I guess I really don't. I mean, I don't have a hard viewpoint one way or the other on the issue. I guess is my
I think you should though.
position on it because it's so convoluted. It's such a convoluted mess. The judicial system, everything's a mess. But the
Right, but again,
judicial,
let's not add any flavor to the conversation, friend. Okay, let's talk about it what it is at the surface. The question is whether or not in our system the president should be above the law. And I think you're a sincere guy, and
but
I think you know
no,
the answer.
I don't.
Okay, so I agree. I agree. No president, I don't care what party you are, no president should be above the law. No president should be able to unilaterally commit crimes and use the position of the presidents to claim immunity. That's the point,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So then you should be comfortable with this decision. Let's remove, the aura of corruption. Okay, the decision by the judicial branch in this case today is the right one because we don't want a president to have unlimited immunity. Right.
Right.
Right. Good. Then we are in agreement. We're in
So
agreement.
yeah, I mean, I can't argue it. I really can't.
Okay, good. I mean, yeah, because it wouldn't. Because again, you're a sincere guy, and I would think that. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to a fake country boy, because you're a sincere guy. And then the irony behind that is that I don't want it either. I wouldn't want a Democrat. I don't want any president to have that power because that's not what democracy is, right? You can't have anyone above the law, and then that's the frustrating piece, right? Um, that Donald Trump is constantly trying to kick this can down the road to delay these charges or delay these court cases. If he's innocent, why wouldn't he just go to court and get it done with, right?
Well, I think it's because it's during the campaigning year, and he's got so many of them.
Yeah, that's true. So what's your opinion on the whole, J6 and the insurrection?
Yeah, we've had this conversation before. I definitely think there were some bad actors there. And I remember last time, and I don't know if you got a chance to look it up, the Bobby Powell video.
I don't think I did. I remember you telling me that. That's on me. I owe you that, and I will do that. So we know that the Supreme Court's going to, they're going to. Oh, I got to mute again, bro. There you go. You're back.
So we know
You got to minimize again. Must have got a phone call. So the question specifically around the decision pending with the Supreme Court. So if the Supreme Court decides that he is ineligible to run, would you accept that verdict? You can unmute, brother. I'll ask you again. If the Supreme Court decides that based on the 14th Amendment of our Constitution that he's ineligible to run, would you accept that verdict?
Yeah, if they did it early enough where we could run somebody else, sure.
Yeah, well, we might have an answer on that as soon as next week.
Right. I mean, there's other folks I would much rather see run.
Right, and I think you've already made up your mind that you're not going to vote for Trump anymore anyway, right?
No, I'm probably going to vote for Trump.
Well, okay, what if he's convicted?
Well, I guess it depends on how the court cases play out.
Why? Why would it depend? Why would it depend?
On the partisanship of the judges.
Okay. Well, let's break that down a second. So are you saying that for example, Judge Aileen Cannon, appointed by Donald Trump, if the jury in that case finds Donald Trump guilty, Would you accept that decision? You're muted, bro. Country. Yeah, there you go. Did you hear my question?
Can you repeat that?
So Judge Aileen Cannon, she's the judge that's overseeing the Mar-a-Lago documents case in Florida. She was appointed by Donald Trump, okay? That is a district, that's literally his home district, okay? That's where he lives. If that case, if he's found guilty in that case with a Trump-appointed judge and a jury of his peers in his backyard,
it wouldn't
would you
sway
accept
me.
that? It wouldn't sway you. So you would still feel it's corrupt?
No, there's other factors in play about that.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about a verdict, though, man. That's what we're talking about, right? So the question was, would you accept? Would you still vote for him if he's found guilty in that case?
Yes, I would.
Really, bro?
Yeah, I would.
So there's nothing at this point that would keep you from voting for him?
There he is, but not that case.
What case?
Man, there's so many of them. You have to remind me of some of the ones he's got going here.
He's got election interference with J6, engaging in insurrection, defrauding the government. You've got the documents case in Mar-a-Lago. You've got the election interference case in New York. You've got the RICO investigation in Georgia. And we've already gotten civil liability in SA and Eugene Carroll. We've got his entire business empire built on a fraud has already been determined. All we're waiting for is the amount of fine now. So is there any of those that would keep you from voting for him?
Man, I guess I can't say yes.
Man,
I got to ask why. As a veteran, can you explain to me why?
And I will say this, as I have a son that's in the military. My son is in the Army. I have my son-in-law is 82nd Airborne. And thank you for your service, Anthony. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
So to go case by case, the documents, it appears in the documents case, it appears very clearly that that's been done across the board by many other people that they haven't went after as severely as Trump. You got Pence, you got Biden.
Well, let's take that one at a time. Let's take that one at a time. What is the documents case about, country?
He has documents in his personal residence.
You got a lot of back. Is that you, Anthony? Who's got the background noise? Who's clicking? Okay, let's talk about. Okay, so let's talk about what's that case about, country? The documents case.
That he had documents in his home that he's not supposed to have.
No, that's not what that case is about.
Okay.
That case is about obstruction of justice and willful retention of national defense information. Okay, that's the difference between what Donald Trump did and what Joe Biden and Mike Pence did. That's the difference.
Okay, so can a president declassify material?
No, they can't. Not unilaterally.
They can't.
No, not unilaterally. No.
What do you mean by unilaterally?
Meaning that there are certain documents that a president can declassify, and there are documents that a president can't declassify. And we know for a fact, though. We know for a fact, based on evidence that's in testimony and in witness statements, and also we have them on audio tape, that we know that he didn't declassify everything. And again, that's not what the case is about.
Okay, say again. And I'm sorry, like I said, I just had surgery today, so repeat what the
case is about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the case is about obstruction of justice and willful retention of national defense information. So, for example, he signed an attestation statement stating that they turned over everything, and they didn't. We have evidence that they moved boxes. We have evidence that they tried to delete security camera footage. That's all real. That's all evidence. We have that. Okay. Again, allegations, but there's evidence to support it. It's got to go to trial. We know that those things happen. Those are statements of fact. So that by definition right there is willful retention. Like I'm not going to tell the government that I've got everything. I'm going to tell them I've only got this. You guys can take. They did not want to indict him, country. They gave him 18 months to do this. They did not want to indict him, but he kept refusing. So the difference between what he did and what Joe Biden and what Mike Pence did, as soon as they found documents that they had, both Biden and Pence, they contacted NARA and the FBI and they turned everything over. That's the
Correct.
difference.
But from what I understand, a president is able to have those things in his possession, and a senator is not supposed to leave the skiff with him.
That's again, that's incorrect. You missed what I just said, though, bro. Think about again. Listen to what I'm saying to you. The reason that Donald Trump is in trouble is because he didn't turn things over when he was supposed to, and he lied about it. So here's an example. If the FBI called you and said, "Country boy, you've got documents. Please turn over everything," and you say, "Okay, I've got 45 boxes, but I'm going to give them 20 and say that's everything, and I'm going to sign a document saying that's everything." Do you think that they would have legal recourse against you?
Yeah.
That's what Trump did.
Yeah.
That's what he did. That's the difference in this case. So don't conflate it. Like documents that members of Congress and the Senate, that's handled entirely differently. It's not the same thing. And by the way, the FBI determined that every document that Joe Biden had in his possession, he could have legally. The documents when he was a senator, they were already turned over to the University of Pennsylvania, his alma mater. Okay? And was Joe Biden and Mike Pence, were they careless with the documents they had? Yes, they were. But it's not willful retention. It's not obstruction of justice. That's the difference.
Well, I would think it would be intentional if you left the skiff with it. I mean,
They
how do
didn't,
you?
though.
Huh?
But they didn't. But they didn't leave a skiff with it. They didn't. That's the point. And again, I think you're missing. I think you're missing the point here. If Donald Trump had turned over everything instead of lying on a document stating that he did, he wouldn't be in trouble.
I guess this is my problem. So I was not a George W. fan, man. Just not. But
I gotcha.
so he was the first president I actually voted for him because I was 18 and that was the thing to do. Voted Democrat in the primaries, but I voted Republican that year in the general. And the reason why I did that is all of my local representatives were Democrats. So I voted Democrat probably more than I voted Republican in years past. So I've watched. I guess this is my problem, and that's kind of where I feed into. I don't know if I say I feed into it, but it's because I've watched the media, and I've watched and even with George W.'s stupid mistakes, there was never 24 hours, 365 days a year. Now what is it? 4, 5, 6, 7 years of constant Donald Trump being in the news, right?
Well, maybe if he didn't continue to do things that would get him in trouble, we wouldn't talk about him so much. So I want to stay on the topic we were talking about, bro, because I want to make sure you understand the difference between these cases. Like the example that I gave you, that if you were asked by the government to turn over everything and you only gave them half and you signed off saying, "This is all I have," you agreed that you would be in trouble. That's what happened. That's what happened with Trump.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to look into the two different. I guess I haven't made that comparison with the two between Pence and Biden. So
Right.
I
So
would have to
they
look
did they did the exact same thing. What Biden and Pence did was the exact same thing. And like I said earlier, were they careless? Yes, they were, but they immediately turned everything over. The case is not about possession of the documents. The case is about obstruction of justice and willfully retaining those documents. That's what this case is about. Trump made it worse for himself, though, country, because I think the last time we
I can see the obstruction charge.
Okay.
No
Good.
doubt.
Good.
Because I feel did he obstruct? Yeah. Um,
He did. He did.
so I can see that. The oh God, I just lost it. What was the other charge? Sorry, man.
Again, there's a few charges. There's willful retention of national
Okay,
defense information.
willful retention.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's going to be harder to prove in my mind.
I think it's
But
easier, actually. I think it's easier.
the
Go ahead,
the
Anthony.
well, the obstruction. I've heard the tapes, and I think that's more of him being a dig your heels in kind of guy and F you kind of thing. It is where the obstruction charge.
Here's the deal, country, and this really should piss you off as a citizen. They have videotape of Trump's staff at the time of an inspection, moving boxes from room to room, locking boxes, pretending to have lost the keys. All of this is backed up by testimony. He obstructed justice. He moved boxes around.
Allegedly, again.
Not even allegedly. There's videotape
but
and there's
proven. Yeah, but
right.
proven. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I would like to see the
other
video. I guess is where I'm at
it's
with
out
that.
there. It's part of it's.
I'll definitely do some look and see if I can find it. I mean, if I'm not opposed to looking things up and doing some research on it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. The thing that I just want to share with you. You told me about your son being in the Army, and you told me about your son-in-law. Right? Here's the deal for this veteran. President Trump does not like veterans. He does not respect veterans. And the entire 4 years he was there, he did nothing for veterans. He gives a lot of lip service. He talks a lot, but he's a liar, a thief, and a cheat when it comes to taking care of veterans, right? And my ask of you is to dig really deep on behalf of veterans, your son and your son-in-law, before you vote for this guy. Because just on that alone, I don't understand how anyone with family in the military of any type can support a man that called us losers and suckers. And that's an actual fact, right?
So I'll tell you this, that I will.
Okay. I appreciate you, and you're always a good, honest conversation and an honest steward with how you feel. And I appreciate the fact that you come up here and you hear what we say, we hear what you say, we talk like adults. And so it's super duper refreshing that we have these conversations. And look, I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but at the same time, I'm just, on behalf of veterans, I'm asking you just to take a second. And no gifting, please. Dang it, I didn't even see that. Just for myself, for your son, and for your son-in-law, right? And also, I really do hope that you get better, because, man, I know surgery is not fun, and going through this stuff is probably not pleasant for you. So I really do hope that you do get better and that you heal well, because that's got to suck. So I do feel for you, because I've had family members go through that surgery, and I know it's not pleasant. But I'm glad that you're a willing participant in examination, and that is all I can ever ask for is that people just be willing to examine. I think that is fantastic, irrespective of what side you come out on, right? And that makes you just made me happy. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. And that's one thing I like about Facts Lives is, you're heard and where you're coming from, and he comes across with thoughtful answers and well thought out. And I used to kind of pride myself as someone that studies, but he's got me beat on that, I think. But
No, it's because you're sincere. It's because you're
it's not
sincere, man.
just
That's why we can have this conversation, because you're a sincere guy.
not
We
a
respect
yelling
that.
match.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's not a yelling match. And like I said, I learned that actually because I moved to Minnesota, And so I've learned to listen to other people's perspectives and uh,
Margie.
and
That's
see
right.
where people are at, and it's great. So,
Well,
but I
listen, brother,
will.
you take care of yourself, okay? And stay
Yeah,
in touch, and please, if you could, spend a little bit of time digging into what we're talking about. Try to understand the differences between, the documents case with Trump and what Mike Pence did and Joe Biden did, because you can put them in the exact same bucket. And the difference is willful retention. Okay?
yep, I will do that, and I will look into the veteran thing for most definitely.
Please do, brother. Appreciate that.
All right.
Take care of yourself, all right? Good
Yeah,
luck.
thank y'all both. I appreciate it.
Be well, buddy. Take care.
Yeah, bye.
Later. Country's a good man. He's a good man. I think he's going to come around. We've got an opportunity there. I think it's really important that we kind of revisit that, because we haven't talked about that case enough. For people who don't understand, I saw a lot of spamming in the chat. This entire case, the Department of Justice did everything that they could not to indict Trump in this case. 18 months. 18 months they gave him. Every opportunity to return everything. The government knew he had more documents. He continued to lie about it. Now, MAGA, why would you be okay that he lied about everything? Why would you be okay? Why would you be okay with him obstructing justice? Why would you be okay with that? Why would you be okay with him sharing information, documents that we know that was not declassified? His own words. When I was president, I could have declassified this. Now I can't. We also know, again, based on testimony that's in the superseding indictment, that was the follow-up to the original indictment, that he shared information about nuclear submarines, their readiness, their vulnerabilities, their capabilities, how close they could get to other subs and other coasts. He shared that with an Australian billionaire at Mar-a-Lago, who then shared it with dozens of other people. We know that. That's testimony. Okay, that's in the indictment. Why would you be okay with that? Especially for people like Country who are vets, literally putting our soldiers, our servicemen and women in harm's way. That's a leap for those of you who say you support vets. Again, it's not hearsay. It's testimony from people who were there, suckers and losers. That's not hearsay. That's direct evidence. We know that he disparaged John McCain, said he prefers his heroes that don't get captured. Mark Milley's son, they went to a gravesite where what was his name? I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Anyways, a member of his staff, okay? A member of his staff whose son was killed in the line and said, I don't understand what's in it for them. Telling Mark Milley to not bring a disabled vet back to a parade because nobody wants to see that. Again, these are all things that this guy did. And if you're a vet, I don't understand how you could support that. I personally refer to people who are veterans who have served that still support Trump. I refer to you as oath breakers. I don't see how else you can describe it. You've taken an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And he took that oath too. And yet he's done everything he can to violate that oath. And if you still support him, then I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. Right, Randy, you don't have enough followers. So again, another phenomenon. Sent a lot of invites. Haven't heard from a lot of MAGA. See how it goes. Thank you, friends. Continue to like and share. No gifting, please. Blame it on Bob. How are you tonight?
Hey, pretty good. How you doing?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind tonight, sir?
That's great. I've been listening to you guys. I'm a vet. I'm a retired first responder, whatever, blah, blah. But here's my dilemma on all this.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. You could read my profile. I used to be an independent, and after being on here, I've seen hate on both sides. And in my scene through here, I've seen more hate through the Democrats, which that's fine, and whatever. But the big question is, once Trump and Biden get out of the way, how do we come together?
So, first of all, I appreciate you jumping in. So, when you say you see hate from Democrats, can you help us understand what you're talking about? I want to make sure we can address it specifically.
As soon as I come in live, once I got enough followers, I was always out there in the chat, I don't know what you guys call it, spamming or whatever, saying stuff, and then they see me and, oh, you don't have enough followers, that whole thing. But then when I finally got enough followers, go in and try to talk with them, because I got my side, they got their side, we all have our beliefs and all that, whatever, which is fine. But I thought, or my feeling and what I've seen, I think on that side is really, really bad. Which that's
Well, again, I asked you the question about give me an example, because this is what I'm trying to understand. Can you be specific and help us understand what it is that you're talking about? Because I can give examples of why I think I don't understand your argument because of all the hate that I see from the right. I can give specific examples like rights being taken away. Literally, all the things that we just talked about Trump.
right.
So,
We could argue about that all day.
well, that's why I'm hoping you can give me some examples.
Well, I go in, okay, I'll say this. I go into a Democratic Live and try to talk.
Right.
And everyone I go into, it's like I get bashed.
Well, what are you talking about, though? See, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
So the frustration for people, and I can't speak for everybody else. Everybody does manage their own lives the
Right.
same way. The frustration for me, okay, is that if you come into an argument or a debate with sincerity, with a willing to learn,
Right.
with a willing to kind of understand what the specifics are, then the conversation goes well. If you come into a live and you're not honest, or you don't have the facts, or you defend things that most people think are undefensible, then it becomes a difficult conversation. For example, do you believe that Joe Biden is the legitimately elected president of the United States?
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't? I mean,
A lot of people don't.
and I'm
a
not
lot of
a,
people don't.
and I'm not a Biden supporter. But yes,
Okay.
he's our president. There's no.
I know he is our president, but was he the legitimately elected president in your opinion?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that Donald Trump has violated the law in any way?
Well, see, that could be many things. What law?
Any law. Do you think he's violated any law?
Oh, yeah. I mean, have you violated the law?
Yeah, I ride my motorcycle very fast. No doubt about it.
Me too. I ride mine without a license for, 30 years. But, yeah, I mean, we all have.
Okay, so let's get specific. Let's get specific then, Bob. Okay, let's get specific.
Okay.
So have you read any of the indictments?
Yes, I've read them all.
You've read all of them?
Well, majority or whatever, Hell,
Okay. All right, fair
whatever,
enough. Okay, so what's the Mar-a-Lago documents indictment about?
Just what you was talking about a minute ago.
Right, obstruction of justice and willful retention.
Right.
Do you think that's okay? Do you think that's okay that he did that?
No, don't.
Okay, good. I don't either. So, do you believe that January 6th was an insurrection?
Yes and no.
Okay, why yes first? Why yes?
Because they did. There was a lot of bad characters in there that broke through windows, fought police, did things, that you're not supposed to do.
Okay, so then why no?
And then they comes out and you see the Capitol Police leading them through the Capitol.
Okay. All right. So let's back up a second, because we have to be careful with some of that information, because I'm not going to disagree with you that there were Capitol Police, but they weren't escorting them. They weren't tour guides. Have you ever been to an event where things get out of control? The law enforcement is attempting crowd control. All right. They're trying to round people. They're trying to round people up. They're trying to organize. They were outnumbered. They did a really good job. So the reality of that day is the fact that, first of all, why did people come to DC that day, Bob? Why were they there?
Well, there was a few rallies that had permits to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Stop the steal and whatever.
Right.
You know?
What was allegedly stolen, Bob?
Well, in their mind, the election.
Right, but it wasn't, was it?
No. I mean,
right.
Once somebody gets, it's not. Even though, I don't agree with it, but sure, he was elected. So I'm going with it.
Right. Good. I'm glad to hear you say that. So again, the rally, you're right. The rally was Stop the Steal. So all summer long, what did Donald Trump say? What did Donald Trump say about the election?
Well, he started that before the election.
That's right. He started saying that the only way I would lose would be if the election was corrupt, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So that all summer long, he's fomenting the anger in his base by saying the only way I will lose is if the election is corrupt. So you and I agreed. You and I agreed that he lost, right? You and I agreed that he lost. So the rally, is on January 6th in D.C. Stop the Steal. All these people come to the rally that day. They're already angry. They're already fired up. So Trump gives a speech. He says peacefully and patriotically one time. He also tells his followers, who are already angry because he's been telling them this lie all summer long, they're there on January 6th. He says, if you don't fight, we're going to lose our country. Fight like hell. If you don't fight, you will lose your country. So if you are angry, if you were fired up and you were angry and you believe those lies and you heard your president say, if you don't fight like hell, we're going to lose our country, how would you react? Safe to say that maybe you would react the same way a lot of them did?
Shoot. In the moment, maybe.
Okay. So then that would be by definition. Sure.
Huh? Go ahead.
I was going to say, by definition, that's what an insurrection is. It's a violent act against a government or authority. So we agreed that they came to D.C. under a false pretense. We agreed that they got violent, and then they attacked the Capitol. That's insurrection. That is insurrection by definition. So therefore, he engaged in insurrection.
Okay, I agree with that.
Okay.
But Stop the Steal wasn't his. It was a whole different people, or whatever you want to call them, that hold that movement. That's who got.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree that other people were involved in getting the permits. I don't disagree with that. You're right. But he's the one that gave the speech. He's the one that lied to his followers all summer long. He's the one that told the big lie. He's the one that knew that he lost. Courts decided, his family members, his cabinet, his own family, his attorney general, his election officials, Republican legislators across the country, they all said, Mr. President, you lost. But he kept telling his followers that he won, that the only reason he lost was because of the fraud. Okay? That's the whole point. That's what insurrection is by definition.
Okay.
Violent act against a government or authority. So therefore, since you and I have agreed, now that you engage in insurrection, the Constitution says that if you engage in insurrection, you are ineligible to be president.
Okay, see, that's where I disagree.
Okay, what is there to disagree with?
If in your beliefs, you believe, say, I don't know, just something simple like, hey, I seen that kid steal a candy bar from the store. And that's what you believe, right? But then it comes out that he didn't steal it. But you still believe that you did. I'm not sticking up for Trump at all. I'm just saying, if you really believe something, will you fight for it?
that's different though than what happened, man. Go ahead, Anthony. You have a question?
So, from one Navy man to another Navy man,
Right.
let's talk about it in military terms because I think I can help you out here. You're proposing that anecdotally people were lied to and fooled into believing something, right? But what we're trying to say is that Trump gave an unlawful order as a military commander. And that unlawful order was to fight like hell. Because people had already been manipulated into believing something had happened that had not happened, that everyone acknowledged had not happened, that every court had denied had happened, he needed to grift the organizers of the Stop the Steal event needed to grift, meaning they needed to make more money. And because his ego was so damaged as a leader, he then foists upon his private army, right?
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, shipmate.
How do you make money? That's what you said. Make more money.
Yes. Part of the case is against Ali Alexander in a separate court case, and it's about the grifting that happened. Separately, he has another court case, unfortunately, in which he has been accused of SAing minors and pursuing them. So that gentleman, we probably don't need to talk about anymore. But my point here is.
Hey, I agree. He's a bad character. Okay. I agree.
Yeah. So the insurrection happened at the behest of the former commander-in-chief, President Trump, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine it's back in the day when you and I were in the Navy, right? And we're in a particular situation and we're giving an unlawful order. In the Blue Jackets manual, it makes it very clear to sailors that if you are given an unlawful order, you may indeed go ahead and disobey it. There may be consequences for disobeying it, but there's a process, right? So for Trump, that process of protest was the courts. The courts denied him and told him that he wasn't right. He still could not handle this. And because his ego was so fragile and so damaged as a leader, he decided to basically foment this insurrection, right? He is the tip of the spear in that scenario, right? So you had a man who understood exactly what he was doing. You had a bunch of people who unfortunately didn't have the character, the scruples, or the moral compass to figure out not to believe him. People were so desperate to be victims. They were so sucked into his cult of personality that on his behalf, all of their lives have been ruined that entered the halls of Congress. People are going to jail 15, 16, 17 years, all because of Trump, right? Now imagine, right? Is this the kind of man that you want to support in any shape or way? Would you support anyone that you served with in the military if they knowingly gave an unlawful order and that it meant that it ruined a whole bunch of sailors' careers? Would you be supportive of that?
See, this is where it gets dicey. What time did he give that order to march there and fight for hell and be peaceful?
During his speech.
During his speech at the Ellipse.
Has the insurrection started while he was still on the podium?
No, it was after he was done with the speech at the Ellipse that he told, right near the end, he told them to go fight like hell. And he's like, if you march over, I will march with you. They all took off. He got in his car like a coward and left.
Okay.
Yeah, there were some people that were already at the Capitol. Some of the Proud Boys, through testimony, that they were already there, but the
Right.
majority of the people went there at the end of his speech. So I mean, to Anthony's point, Bob, again, that's what we're talking about here. So I don't understand. I don't understand how you could look at what happened that day any differently. I mean, again, the definition of insurrection is a violent act or uprising against a government or authority. The government literally was attacked that day.
I agree
right?
with that. But have you ever seen, I mean, I've never seen an insurrection, but I mean, I've seen parts of it on that day. But have you ever seen an insurrection where they're guiding them through there to say, here, you go in here, and then they say, oh, it's time to get out? I'm not defending them. They shouldn't have been in there, but
right. But that's not what happened, though. But again, that's not what happened, though. Again, think about let's not kind of piecemeal this whole conversation. Specifically, though, what were they there to do? What did he send them to the Capitol to do, Bob? Remember the name of the rally?
But that wasn't his rally.
No, but
it
what
was
did he
too.
send them?
No,
it was on
that whole
Bob, wait 1 second. It wasn't. We agreed. We agreed that it wasn't his rally. But what was he promoting? Like we already talked about. What was he promoting all summer long? That the election was stolen from me.
Right.
Stolen.
I'm not going to argue.
So stop the steal. So what did he send his followers to the Capitol to stop?
In his mind, probably the steal, but I'm not in his mind. But
again, hold on. But again, he sent them there to stop the steal. And what Congress was doing was certifying the results of the election of Joe Biden. Ceremonial in our Constitution, but still a process. So again, a violent act or uprising against a government or authority. They were violent and they attacked our government and our authority during a process as part of our Constitution. That, by definition, is insurrection. And that is why he's in trouble for it. That's why.
Well, that's fine. If they convict him, put him in Gitmo or wherever, that's fine.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I'm not defending Trump.
I didn't say you were. I just want to make sure that we've got.
Well, I know. I know.
Yeah, and this isn't just for you. This is also for people that are listening.
Right.
Because it's important that we get all this information out there because that's what happened that day. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. But do you think when Maxine Waters does all her stuff out there telling them to confront people and get in their faces, and you got Chuck Schumer saying when the Supreme Court wasn't going to rule his way, the hell wind, or whatever he said, will be listed out on you? Is that what?
What's the difference, though?
Well, I mean, I was in the middle of my
difference? Right, but what's the difference? Hold on 1 second. Well, there is, though. What's the difference between what Maxine Waters and or Chuck Schumer or Adam Schiff said? What's the difference between what happened based on what they said?
Well, at the time, it was exactly not at the Capitol. I live in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And
did any of the people that Maxine Waters and or Adam Schiff spoke to try to overthrow the government?
Well, okay. No, not the government, but if they break into the Capitol, downtown Columbus, off of High Street.
But they didn't.
They did. I was there.
But again, Bob, let's try to stay on topic here, okay? I hear this argument a lot, okay? I hear this argument a lot.
Go ahead.
Insurrection, by definition, a violent act or uprising against a government or authority. Breaking into a building is not an insurrection, okay? Breaking into a Target, burning a building in Minneapolis, violence in the streets of Seattle, that's not insurrection. Those are riots, and anybody who's involved in that, anybody who commits crimes, throw their ass in jail. I don't give a shit who they are.
Okay, let me interrupt.
Sure.
How many of them have been arrested?
Lots.
No,
Yeah,
200.
lots. Okay, so
But
200, is that not enough for you?
no, I was in the middle of the riots in Columbus, which everybody said was peaceful protest.
Okay,
Which I'm not saying, I'm not trying to defend Trump and his
right.
insurrection.
Okay, but Bob,
Just don't think
hold on.
that.
Hang on one second. I want
Okay.
to make this is a really, really important point. Okay, I hear this a lot. So what you're trying to do, and I'm not saying you're defending Trump, but
I'm
you're
not
trying
defending
to.
him.
I know you are. You're trying to justify or compare that violence to what happened on January 6th, and you can't compare the two because they're not even close to the same thing, man. They're not, and you know that. I can tell you're a sincere guy. You know that.
Do you know how many police officers were killed that summer?
Unalive. Okay, once
Oh,
again.
sorry. Yeah, I forgot where I was at.
Okay, once again. So are you saying that there's never been violence in our country before where police officers lost their lives?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay, so what's the difference?
How many? Damn, I gotta say it right because I know how this. I mean, how many Capitol Police were unalived at the scene?
That day, none.
Okay. Well,
right.
Okay, which it doesn't make.
But why does that matter? Can you tell me why that matters?
Does the Democrat bring up how many police and people unalived on that day?
Right, but Bob, I guess the question I'm asking you, hang on one second, Anthony. The question I'm asking you is why does that matter?
Because lives matter.
I agree with you, but I guess specifically when we're talking about the events of that day, why does it matter whether or not a police officer was unalive that day? I mean, we have to look at what happened. Hundreds of officers beaten, right? We know that an officer lost his life the next day because of what happened. We know that officers took their own lives because of what they witnessed. We know that there were firearms there that day. We know that Trump supporters lost their lives that day from heart attacks, from a variety of things. We know that it was a violent uprising against our government or authority. Now you say you're not defending Trump, but I'm starting to hear like you are defending Trump. Bob.
He's on mute for some reason all of a sudden.
You're on mute, Bob.
I'm back.
Okay. So did you hear what I said?
No, I did.
Because you keep kind of pivoting to other events. You keep pivoting to the summer of 2020. You keep pivoting to Columbus. You keep pivoting to, there was no officers unalive that day. And facts are very simple. You and I went over them together, step by step. Lied all summer long, got his followers all pissed off. So the only way I'm going to lose is if the Democrats rig this. Lie. Stop the steal with the rally. Go to the Capitol. I'll go with you. Fight like hell. Rudy Giuliani saying trial by combat. John Eastman saying kick ass and take names. His followers all fired up. They were angry. They stormed the Capitol. They beat up police officers. They tried to stop the peaceful transition of power. That's what happened. Those are the facts. It's not even up for debate.
I'm not arguing none of that.
Okay.
There's
what's your point?
A lot of lead up circumstances. Sure, Trump did all what you said.
He did.
Where did Kamala Harris say she was when the attack was going on?
Go ahead, Anthony.
All right. Shipmate, I'm going to stop you right here. And I need you not to speak until I am done speaking, please. You know what you're doing. You're being an apologist, and you're bordering on bigotry and racism, and that shit does not float here. So listen to me, shipmate. Listen to me very, very carefully. Okay? You need to stop with this apologist behavior. There's your truth, there's my truth, and in between these, the absolute truth. You keep skirting and pivoting to apologize for bigots, to apologize for racists, to whataboutism, to pivot into things, to blame people. These are tactics of white supremacists. These are tactics of bigots. This shit does not float here. The reason why you get attacked on lives, now I've figured it out. Now I've sussed you out. Your coded language, your dog whistles, and your behavior is that of a bigot, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And I'm going to mute before I fucking blow up.
Yeah, I'm going to give you. I know Bunny wants to talk, so go ahead, Bunny. I'm sorry.
Today. I jumped up here because I had the pleasure of meeting Blame It on Bob last night, where he came on with the same sincerity of being in the comments section and finally having enough followers to come up and be able to speak. And the first thing out of his mouth was, I saw proof of E. Jean Carroll claiming that 6 other men raped her. Besides,
Did you say that, Bob? Did you say that, Bob?
Yeah.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
Good night, you piece of shit.
I sat here quietly waiting for you to get done with your part with him, and you know, because you were on the J6 stuff, and I was waiting for you to get done before I said anything. But yeah, and I've seen him in other lives too, and I know he's been in here before, but it was a while back. That's what he does. Exactly what Anthony called him out on is exactly what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it coming. I was trying to use the opportunity to discuss the specifics around J6 to educate other people that are in the chat as well. And I apologize that he was up here as long. My bad. I'm sorry about that. That I should not have given him that platform.
No, it's fine. You were absolutely right. That's why I sat quietly and waited for you to get done with your part, because it is important for people to be educated. And yeah, so I said what I needed to say, and he was very, very, very defending Trump. Well, I'm not defending Trump, but I'm defending Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, please stop gifting me. I'm part of the point. Please, thank you, but don't gift me.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that.
All right, I'll jump back down. My job's done.
Love you, Bonnie.
I love you too, Anthony. You handled that very well,
Thank
sir.
you. And by the way, I'm barefoot and pregnant again in the kitchen, just in case some of the ladies out there are wondering.
When I see your wife, I have to give her a high five.
You've got to. We'll have a meet Jen moment one of these lives where she comes in and says hi. And wait, hold on. I have to lower the camera because she's all of 5 foot tall. So hold on.
Hello. Hey,
Hello.
congratulations on the bun in the oven there with him.
They're both like, no.
Yeah.
You have to invite me
Could
to
you
the
imagine?
interview, okay?
What a frightening event that would be. What kind of push gift am I going to get?
None.
Oh, I asked for a push gift and she just said none.
I think it's really important. I want to take this opportunity to remind people that I try to be diligent and not platforming people like that. I also want to use opportunities to educate us, because the conversation that I was having while Anthony was speaking and when Bob was speaking and when I was speaking, I was monitoring the chat, and there's still so many people in our world that will not accept the truth around J6. That will not accept.
I don't get it.
And that's why I chose that opportunity. I picked up on some of those whistles too, and I was getting close. And I apologize to both of you and to people in the chat that I didn't kick him sooner. But I think it was necessary because, again, misinformation still exists out there. And there are so many people that still believe that nonsense. So thank you, Bunny, for calling that piece of shit out. Thank you, Anthony, for calling that piece of shit out. Much appreciated.
Well, that's what I do when you're not on. I go to other lives.
I think that's the first time I've gotten that close to losing my shit.
It's all right. You're good. Okay, so you gonna drop? Are you gonna drop back down, buddy? What's your plan?
I'll still be here modding for you, but that's it.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Librarian, how are you tonight?
Hey, how are you? I'm good.
Fine.
I'm E. Jean Carroll's niece. By marriage, I've known her for 30 years. I just wanted to thank you for not tolerating the misinformation about her. I've seen so much talk about her over the past couple weeks. It's been really triggering and difficult. And I always appreciate people who will not tolerate that and will call it out for what it is. I really do appreciate that. I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Our best to your aunt.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too.
Wow. Again, folks, it's so incredibly dangerous. It's just, if you're not convinced yet that what happened that day was what happened that day, the reality behind it, then I don't know what to do for you. I really don't. I would encourage you to seek mental health. I think there's an argument to be made in your case, universal health care. If you don't have access to it, figure it out, because it's dangerous. It's really, 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 really dangerous. And the fact that pieces of shit, oath-breaking traitors like our previous guest, to the fact that Anthony's one of the most calm and rational humans I've ever met, the fact that it tipped him, put him on tilt, as they say, should tell you all you need to know. So if there's other veterans in the chat, and I know there are, if you feel the same way, then I will label you as such, an oath-breaking traitor as well. Now, you may not like to hear it. I don't give a shit. I really don't care. I really don't care. You took an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and you've turned your back on your country. You've literally turned your back on your country. So the geek driver, you don't agree? So come up and tell us. I do believe you're a traitor, and I want to know why. I want to know why. And this is what I find interesting about MAGA. I want to have that conversation. So you don't agree that you violated your oath?
No.
Okay.
How am I a traitor? Just because I stand with Trump?
Okay, I'm going to let the veteran talk to you. Anthony, you feel free to engage on that? You did take an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, didn't you? Geek? Didn't you?
No, I didn't. I'm an American citizen. Why do I have to take an oath? I'm not a veteran.
Okay. Okay. Okay, you're not a veteran. Okay, so here's a question for you. Why do you support Trump then?
He's not Biden, that's for one.
Is that what I asked? Why do you support Trump? That's what I'm asking. Try to answer the question without pivoting to Joe Biden. Why do you support Trump?
Well, to me, he did a great job with the country. He's not perfect, that's a given, but nobody is. But I felt safe in my country, in America, with Trump. There were no wars. My 401k was doing great. I actually felt safe. With Biden, it's freaking World War III out here. It's nuts.
Hold on. One at a time. So there were no wars. So
As soon as possible. I've heard him before. He's a performative ass clown. He's not worth the time.
Oh, I'm an ass clown. Excuse me.
Yeah, you are. So I have
Kick
two
rocks.
questions. I have two questions for you. What'd you have for dinner?
I just got home.
Nobody gives a shit. So again, like, what's the point, right? What is the point? You know, Anthony and I don't sit here and toot our horn, but we try to come on here every single night and provide some information for people. And if you want to fact check us, do it real time. If you can prove us wrong, go for it. We'd love it, because that's how you learn as adults. That's how you grow as adults. That's how you become better as humans, by learning. And if you don't want to try to learn, then shut the hell up.
Okay. We didn't let him speak, whoever just said that. Let me fill the audience in on a little something. So for the past 6 months, I have been assembling an Excel spreadsheet and cross-referencing with phraseology geography, various names, and topics. And I want to share with you, as a person on the fucking spectrum, I don't forget anything. I don't even need that Excel spreadsheet to remind me who you are. So as soon as I see a performative ass clown that sets off a signal in my brain, rest assured, feel free to test me on this. I will ask to have him kicked. In the 2 months that I've been helping Facts, that is the second person I have ever asked. The first person was a known racist and bigot who had changed his profile or has multiple, and he's been kicked on every creator's lives that I've seen. And then this ass clown who was being performative again, right? So also to let people in the audience know, the gentleman that was up earlier, his name is Rolo. He's a naturalized citizen. Do you want to know what a naturalized citizen has to take? The goddamn oath to the Constitution. So not only was that last guest a liar and a piece of crap, he doesn't even understand that naturalized citizens who are American citizens actually, as a part of their process, raise their hand and take the oath like those of us that join the military or perform government service or, work in the judiciary. So there you go with that.
So user numbers, you love how you tell everyone how smart you are. Thank you. I am smart. And so is Anthony.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the compliment. It's awesome. Awesome. Love it. Good evening, Ken. How are you tonight?
Good. Yourself?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
No, I thought you were wanting, do you want to know who stands with Trump?
Do you stand with Trump?
I do.
Can you tell us why?
He's not a full-time politician. He hasn't been making a living out of being that, and he looks out for the country.
So can you give me an example of how he looked out for the country?
The other countries that we've been helping over the years, he's actually asking them to start paying us back, for number one. Number two, we're a country built on people succeeding, and that's what he wanted us to do. He wants to give handouts, but not on a permanent basis. Right now, the way our system's set up, it is not to get people off of welfare. It is to keep them on to welfare. It doesn't want them to do marriage. It wants to keep them separate, and it's not built to grow.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So I don't understand a few things. So you said did you say there were no wars?
No, I never said the word war.
Okay, so you said we're getting other countries to pay their fair share. So you don't believe that we should be supporting Ukraine?
No, I didn't say that. I said pay their fair share.
What does that mean, though? But what does that mean? Unpack that for us. What does that mean?
Okay, that means if you want something from us, you're going to pay us back when you said you agreed to pay for it. If we said, hey, we're going to give you something, it's a gift. If we say, hey, we're going to do this, you owe us money, then you pay it back.
That doesn't explain paying your fair share. That's different. So from a percentage basis, we pay less than the EU does in support of Ukraine. So I don't understand the argument. And we were paying.
I didn't mention. No, I'm talking in general. No country particular.
I was
talking in general. The ones that have said we want to buy this and give it. And then when we give it to them, they don't pay us back.
Okay. Do you have proof of that?
Yeah.
You do? What's your proof of that?
The proof is if you listen to Congress, Senate, they talk about the bills that the other countries have repaid on. After World War II, who rebuilt those countries?
Okay. Again, we're talking about. So I'm trying to understand something here because. What I've heard is a lot of kind of rhetoric. I haven't heard anything specific, Ken, and that's my point. So, do you believe that Joe Biden is the legitimately elected president of the United States?
I can only look at the past. I'm not sitting on the cabinet. I can't tell you everything. But I can tell you over the 40 years that he's been in office.
Ken, stop monologuing. I asked you a question. It's very simple. Do you believe that Joe Biden is the legitimately elected president of the United States? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so then you believe that the election was free and fair in 2020 and he's the legitimate president?
No, I don't know that. I have no idea. I didn't work the polls. I have no idea.
You don't know. So again, I asked you earlier.
Do
Is
you
he
know? I mean, did you count the ballots?
Ken, is he the legitimately elected president of the United States or not?
Define legitimate. Is he sworn in? Yes. Has he been counted on?
Legitimate.
Yes.
Like he won the election freely and fairly, Ken. Yes or no?
I don't know. I did not work the polls.
You know
I
what,
did
Ken?
not do the counting.
Ken, you know what? That's why you're in a cult. Have a good night. I mean, really? Are we fucking kidding me? My God. Like,
Can I just take a second and describe the type of human being that he is?
hang on one second. James, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you? What's on your mind tonight?
What was the question you were just asking him?
Is Joe Biden the legitimately elected president of the United States?
Absolutely not.
Oh, you're in a cult too. Good night. So you could probably add that guy to the same list. So how would you describe that person?
Ken is somebody who has professionally failed upward his entire career, right? His caucasity has vaulted him to wherever he is in his career. He was the guy that went to a high school with 40 people and was the one guy that got solid B's and was probably the smartest guy out of 40 people, right? But his intellectual dishonesty can be easily examined and unpacked by his inability to state a single specific, which tells me he has no critical thinking skills.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
And that's the problem for men like him, right?
Yeah, just so everybody knows in the chat, we do want to debate people, but I can't have a conversation with somebody who, after 3.5 years, still believes that the election was not free and fair. Don't waste your time. If you honestly believe that, don't waste your time. This is not the place for you. There's plenty of other safe spaces in MAGA cult lives. Knock yourself out. This is not your safe space. Because we will call your bullshit out. Regular.
Anthony, quit demeaning people. You think it makes you smarter, but it doesn't. Hey, Steve Lock 267. Jump in the box, home skill. Let's go.
In the box.
Let me dog walk you a little bit.
Good evening, Mark. How are you tonight? Mark the spark. Mark the spark. Jesus Christ.
He's driving.
That was definitely somebody driving.
Yeah. It's just. Ooh. Anyway, Stephanie, how are you tonight? Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie. Okay, you're done too.
Once, twice, 3 times.
You didn't make it that far. Streaming Spielberg. Time for a few more. Not gonna get to everybody tonight in the box, guys. I apologize. Streaming, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you. What's on your mind tonight, sir?
Now, I just wanted to get in and say y'all doing a good job. I love it. Love it. Keep it up. Keep them on their toes. 10 toes down. Y'all doing good. I just had to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, man. And again, okay? I know a lot of the people that jump into these lives are used to going other spaces where your bullshit, your nonsense, and your conspiracy theory is absorbed, appreciated, and then perpetuated. It's not the space for you. Anthony and I will have a conversation with you. I'll have a conversation with anybody. If you're sincere, if you're willing to answer questions, and then perhaps question your own beliefs, that's how progress happens. But if you think you're going to come in here and convince me that the election was stolen, then don't bother requesting. Because we will embarrass you. We will literally embarrass you. I've got a leash. Anthony does too. We will dog walk you around the block. So if you want to avoid that embarrassment, don't bother. Seriously, don't bother. Now, Ken, we've already dog walked you back once because Ken, you've risen to the status of assistant manager after being at the same company for 25 years, bro. This is not the space for you. Nighty night. Nighty night. A few more. I'm not going to get to everybody in the box tonight, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize. They are bad, sick people. Boomer, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
If Trump does get elected and all these trials about January 6th go his way, are you going to then say, I was wrong, he didn't incite an insurrection?
No, I will accept the results of the court.
Yeah. Okay. So, but it would still be your opinion that it was, it would still be your opinion that he incited.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the most important phrase. Our opinion. We didn't say it's a fact. It's just our opinion. You know what they say about opinions and elbows and knees?
Yeah.
So, Boomer, can I ask you the same question? So if the courts come back and rule that he did in fact engage and then he's found guilty of these trials, would you accept those results?
Yeah. I it's the only legal system we have. So whether my opinion is wrong or right, I would go with whatever the court decides.
So who did you vote for in 2020?
Trump.
What's your plan for 2024 to vote?
Trump.
Is there anything that is there anything that he can do that would keep you from voting for him?
No.
Nothing. Really?
No. Well, I base it on my experience with Trump and my experience, and I'm not trying to pivot to Biden, but I would not ever vote for Biden. So if the only
but nobody's forcing you to vote for Biden. But you don't have to vote for Trump.
Yeah, I'm not going to not vote.
Well,
I may pick the lesser of two evils.
You don't have to vote for Trump.
I'm not going to write someone in who's not going to win anyway.
Okay, but that's your choice because you don't have to vote for Trump. So here's a question for you. Once again, I want to understand this.
I never said I had to.
Well, but you said you would because you felt like those are my only choices. Those are not your only choices.
Yeah, so I would vote for him because I think he would be the best candidate that would be anyone that was running.
Okay, so once again, there's nothing that he could do that would keep you from voting for him.
If he gets convicted of any felony, then I wouldn't vote for him, obviously.
Okay, so if he's convicted, you wouldn't vote for him.
Correct.
Okay, so then there have been verdicts against him, but that's not enough for you?
Not felonies.
Okay, so a civil sexual assault isn't good enough for you?
No. Here's the big thing. First of all,
I don't fucking care.
You see how we keep getting the soft walkers, right? Yeah. This is what we're left with.
I know. Kevin, good evening. How are you tonight? Kevin Decker. Kevin Decker. No. Look, again, and Anthony said it very best, really, really well earlier, as did Bunny. And we already know that we have Eugene's aunt that has been in the chat tonight, and out of respect to her, but I would do that every night anyway. People that are literally apologizing or trying to defend a sexual abuser. Give me a fucking break. Seriously. God damn. Please, friends, we're participating in CoinCot. My bad for having that turned off. Hey, Daniel, it's been a minute, brother.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm well. How are you?
No complaints, a moment ago was doing that secondhand pride thing about my daughter with my father. Hey, guess what I hadn't seen my daughter's basically I'm thinking about having them laminated.
Nice, dude. Awesome. Hashtag girl dad.
First semester, down the road, already done, straight A's, Dean's List, that sort of stuff,
Good for you.
I didn't do any of it.
But you raised her well. You participated.
Yeah, I just You know, we like to tease each other about, who's the better dad, sort of thing. It's just the typical collegial ribbing sort of thing. I talk to my dad every day, and it's just one of those things. He and I think that when I was growing up, he and I butted heads so much because we're so much alike, and neither one of us wanted to admit it.
I get that. So you probably
one of us was willing to admit it until I was in my 40s.
You've probably been observing some of the apologists this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any
yeah.
thoughts? Any thoughts?
Yes, I think that it's what's to be expected. What I mean by that is the fact that if they admitting that not just that they were wrong, but that they've been wrong and done terrible things in service of that wrong conclusion all these years, they lose something socially. All right, it's basically 1945 Germany or 1865 Georgia.
Right.
Everyone can basically come in and pants you. It's something you've been so wrong for so long that you were deserving of essentially a public flogging, that sort of thing, or at least in a verbal, that sort of way. And that's something that they cannot, deal with. At least that's kind of how it probably feels for them.
They're not used to being dressed down, so to speak, and they get it regularly when they're not in their safe space. That's a fair point. Absolutely.
Yes, just telling them what they said last weekend and the evidence that what they said is so wrong and ridiculous, it doesn't feel like a correction. It feels like being read for filth.
It's true.
And that is something, if I play dumb long enough and wait for somebody to say something with a accent I can make fun of, or pretend that I know what they're thinking as opposed to what they actually said, then I can get out of the room before, someone responds. That sort of thing. And that is most of what happens pretty recently. It's always been an avoidance, but now it's gotten so over the top and blatant.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony and I have this theory that, we're down to the trolls. Once in a while, you'll get somebody who's like Country Boy, for example. I think Country Boy's trying to navigate through some stuff. I'll take him at his word. I've had a few conversations with Gorilla, and I think Gorilla, if you're out there, I think you're a closeted liberal. You won't admit it, but I think for the most part, I think Anthony's right. I mean, we're down to the bottom scrapers that really don't have a genuine conversation. They literally want to take advantage of, they're lonely and they need a friend. They think they can jump into a live and spew bullshit.
Yeah, there are some of them that there are people who are not all that savvy or haven't been that plugged in, and I can get that. And there are folks like that, but there's no scenario where you told me you voted for him in 2016, you voted for him in 2020, that you are now kind of on the fence. And then when I'm talking about this, you say the reasons why you voted for him and everything, but then also claiming not to know about basic things that everyone was talking about at the time and haven't stopped talking about since. There's no way in the world to say, well, I was really following him and I went to several rallies, but I never heard of the Access Hollywood tape.
Exactly.
Or trying to claim crazy stuff. Like the other day, somebody tried to claim, hey, she was on this cover and she was wearing the dress, but she said that, like, dude, that's not the same dress. That they made more than one. She's wearing a different one. The one at the time of the photo shoot, the actual dress for E. Jean Carroll was entered into evidence to be, compared against DNA that if he provided it. That was what was going on. So it was a different dress.
Right.
Like if I have some Jordan 1s, guess what? There's like 2,300 pairs still in existence. If I have a pair on somebody says that they had one and we weren't wearing the same pair.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or the people who say that they voted for Obama in 12 and then they voted for Trump at 16. I'm like, no, you didn't.
Yeah. Or the folks who try to claim things like, you know that MLK was a Republican. Really? Then why was every ally he had a Democrat?
Yeah.
He wasn't
Yeah,
any
I'm
party.
sure
He
people-
wasn't
I'm
for,
sure- I'm
yeah,
sure-
he wasn't for either.
Right. They would have crossed the aisle to support a black man back in those days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
sure.
Yeah, at the time, guess what? Not ally. The term that they had for MLK was not, our ally. It was most dangerous man in America.
That's right. That's right.
And these things make no sense. If you don't have to be a historian, you just have to be someone who is either old enough to remember it or have paid attention in middle school history.
That's right.
And these are just the most ridiculous, and they're a mile wide and an inch deep.
Yeah, they really are. I have to shut things down. I gotta deal with some stuff here. But sorry we couldn't spend more time talking, Daniel. It's always great to talk to you. It's been a while, bro. Please come back. Appreciate that. Thank you everybody tonight. Thank you, mods. Thank you, Anthony. This evening was interesting, I must say, because I think we're still starting to see the despicable nature of so many people that live in our society. It's really, really sad and disappointing.
Yeah.
It's really sad and disappointing. So I'll give you each a minute if you want it. Feel free to monologue. If there's anything you'd like to say, Daniel, to wrap up as a message.
No.
I can real fast. Something was just said by Always Laurel. History has sanitized MLK. If you're saying what I think you're saying, I can get what you're saying. Here's the thing about the sanitized MLK thing. All right. At the time he was alive, we listened to, for example, people don't always talk about the I Have a Dream speech. The thing is that I Have a Dream speech where he was talking about, black kids, white kids, walking in harmony, unison, that sort of thing. All right. During that speech, he literally argued on behalf of universal basic income. There is no scenario where MLK would not have been a progressive today. They would have hated his guts, and listening to Republicans try and co-opt MLK, but vilify AOC and the squad is crazy.
Well said, brother. Appreciate that. Anthony, in closing, sir?
I just want to thank everyone that showed up tonight, trying to have honest dialogue. It is always welcomed. Apologies for the caught-isms. This is not intentional or some kind of a protest. We get it, but it's the talk. And the settings thing sucks, and Fax and I spoke about it. We were aligned, so sorry it happened. Please show up tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have another exciting topic. I would like to thank you again for allowing me to be up here. And I'd like to apologize for embarrassing my wife again. But it's become kind of a cute thing. And if after 20 years you still can't love someone, I don't know what you can do. So peace and love and safety to all. And if you're in Southern California, I hope you are dry and safe. I know it's been a disaster. We've had over a foot of rain here so far. So thinking really happy and positive thoughts that everyone tries out tomorrow.
Well said, brother. Thank you very much for you. You're always welcome. Thank you, friends. Apologize again for the cot issues. I'll try to get it fixed. I desperately tried tonight, but again, thank you, Moz, for a good evening. A reminder, friends, we have primaries that are happening all across the country. We'll get the results of Nevada this evening. If you're not registered to vote, please contact your local election commission or your Secretary of State to find out where your polling locations are, the dates and times of your polling location hours, and if you're registered to vote or not, because it's really important. Democracy is not a spectator sport. Thank you, friends. Have a good night.